Yeah. Are you from the Orange area? No, I'm from Indiana. Okay. I just moved back. But I love it. I would have been happy to stay. I just outside of this.
Yeah. But you tend to say it's okay.
Yeah. Close to town.
Yeah, and she's doing actually works very sort of near Memphis, and so she's in the Mississippi Happy Hour or Memphis house. Like, that's what I was wondering. If she's in the South even Mississippi.
Okay, yeah.
She recently just got like a house, so she's still down with the ship. So she feels like this house now. And she's doing like, yeah, getting mine set up and things like facilities set up like this stuff like that. Yeah, what part of Birmingham? Just like in Birmingham City or the state? Yeah.
I grew up.
My sister went to UNC for her senior biology, so she lived near I think the bridge. So nothing like that. And my dad was like, I love you, Holly. You're not, you know, the rent's gonna be higher outside this city. But 1 year ago, it was like, no, I get that.
Yeah.
But,
No, it's not. And like, it feels.
yeah, it's fine. It's like any other city. Like, it's just, it's any other big city. There's areas that are more, you know, just maybe that's what it's like. And then I use that. So, she loved her. She's whatever. Now, that sister is all by her now. Doing work in the news. So, she is a RN.
So I just kind of
Yeah.
I'm so very money here.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's now. So this is
Because I mean, our lifetime, like my parents have never really been in next year, so I can know this. But at one point, so my older sister, she had her back at home, she had her job, she was supposed to be with her, she was type of diabetes, she had a medical drop. The stress was making her go worse. And that was like her sophomore year, so like, my first year at state, she had to go back home, and then
every Sunday night at their.
Have I told you they have the
Yes,
theater
they
with the
did.
international students? They
Mhm.
have all like the international students come and eat dinner at their house
Yeah.
like every Sunday.
Every Sunday. I was out of town though this past Sunday.
Everyone. So before we get started, I want to make sure that those of you online can hear us and that we can hear you. Somebody give me a thumbs up. Okay. Dr. Coleman Reed, do you mind speaking? Make sure we can hear your end. Make sure we can hear your end.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone.
Y'all
Okay,
hear me?
great. Okay, great.
You got it.
Yeah, I think we're good. Yeah, I think we're good. All right.
Maybe
I
I.
hear you,
Maybe
but
ask
there's a
you.
feedback loop.
Okay.
Did you hear
If
that
could mute
feedback?
yourself if you are online, because we are getting a bit of feedback. All right. Well, welcome to everyone here who came for the reception to get to meet and greet. Welcome to everyone online as well. I'm going to have to stop myself from looking back at that screen. But because I cannot see it, if anything pops up, someone let us know. Okay. If anyone has any technological issues. So I am Dr. Hodges. I am the director of the MSW program, and we will start today with introductions of faculty and staff, and kind of tell you who we are and what we teach. But I had a couple items of housekeeping I wanted to mention. First is this meeting is being recorded. So if you have any technological problems, if you're online, we will get this posted to YouTube in the next few days. Or if you're here or online and you didn't quite understand something, step out, it will be available. So also, there are bathrooms both directions in the hall if you go down that way, or if you go this way. We have an agenda. Time may slip a little bit each way. We will have a break. And that break is currently scheduled for about 4:30, give or take. But obviously feel free online and here as well to take a break as you need. Appreciate that. Let's see if there are any other items of housekeeping. I think that's pretty much it. As we go through the program today, if you have questions, feel free to unmute yourself or ask if you're here in person. We're happy to address them. You may have noticed we sent out a link a while back for any questions, and many of the questions we received were about field internship, and our field internship directors will be talking to you about that in the last portion of the orientation today. So you will get a chance to ask those questions. All right, so we'll start with a welcome message from myself, and then I'll ask Dr. Coleman Reed as chair of the Department of Social Work to offer her welcome. And then we will go around and faculty here and faculty online will introduce themselves and tell you a little bit about themselves and what they teach. So I am Dr. Hodges. As I mentioned, I'm director of the MSW program, and I'm so excited that you all are joining us. As you know, this is an entirely online program, asynchronously. We'll talk about the components of the structure a little bit later, the components of the program, the structure of the program, the 8-week classes, all of that. But I just do want to let you know that given that this is an online program, we do everything we can through advising, through your classroom experiences and your internships to put a human face on this program. We want you to feel a part of the program. And we want you to know that your advisor, your faculty, your field directors are here for you. This program is fully accredited by the Council on Social Work Education, which is good for all of you because that allows you to sit for your licensure exams and employment upon completion of the program. We have been accredited since 2020. That's when the program began. And we will continue to maintain accreditation in the coming years. We are on an 8-year cycle. If that matters to you, every 8 years, the Council on Social Work Accreditation, who accredits programs nationally, reevaluates programs to make sure that we're offering you the most current and the highest quality education that will prepare you for the field of social work at the MSW level. So I just want to assure you of all that. So again, on behalf of the MSW program, I just want to say how thrilled I am to get to meet all of you. I was talking to some folks during this reception hour, And it's really nice to see faces, whether here or online, with people that I saw during the brief interviews we did in the application process, or some of you I've had conversations with, and I'm sure we all have, online or in person as you were going through the application process. So this is the period where we get to start putting faces to names. All right, with that, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Coleman Reed, who, as I mentioned, is the chairperson of the Department of Social Work, for her to offer her greetings.
Well, good afternoon. Feels a little odd just talking to you guys online, but I'm a little under the weather today. The first thing I want to say, for the people who are online, please turn your cameras on, and I'll tell you why. Social work is an interpersonal profession. And so that means that we need to connect with people. So seeing your faces online allows us to begin today to connect to you as individuals and to understand what it is you need from this program, and for you to understand how we are planning to deliver this program to you in a way that fits into your very busy lifestyle, but also meets the standards of the Council of Social Work Education and the profession of social work. So thank you for everybody that turned your cameras on. I see some people who are so very familiar to me. I won't call your names out because you know I remember you, but good to see you all. I always think about what can I say to beyond welcome. So I would like to talk for just a minute about what you're entering into. First, let me congratulate you on making a very difficult decision. It is not easy to decide you're going to add extra work to your plate, and intellectual work at that, and to develop skills that you previously may have some of, may not. It's quite an investment of time and energy and commitment. And so I applaud you all. Thank you for being here. But I want to talk for a minute about what it means to be in a profession. So you are not just getting a degree. You're not just doing an academic program. You're preparing yourself to become a professional social worker. And to become part of professions have a specialized knowledge base. And so that is what you're going to learn about when you come into this program, the specialized knowledge base of social work. Professions have credentialing. Credentialing is the seal of approval that you learn the knowledge base, values, skills, ethics, and that you can apply them appropriately. And that is one of the challenges that people face when they come to this program, because often they're thinking academically, oh, I can write a paper. I can tell you about something, but that is not all. We are assessing your ability to take the knowledge that you're learning about and really effectively apply it to people according to the standards of the profession, which you'll learn more about. And that leads us to ethical standards. Professions have ethical standards, and social work is the code of ethics. It's the bedrock, it's the Bible of what we do. And if you don't come from a Judeo-Christian perspective, it's the policy manual. It is what drives our work, and you have to live within it. And so we're going to be challenging you to not only think about yourself as a helper, someone who likes people, but as a professional that attacks working with problems and issues from this professional standard. It also helps to set us apart from other professions like nursing and education and engineering. So we're going to ask you to think in a complex ways about how you can help people and apply it according to that ethical standard. And then, because we're going to ask you to do all that, that means you have to develop some judgment. How do I apply this information in the right way at the right time to help people, to help groups, to help communities, to change laws? So professions are about equipping you with this knowledge, the skills, the credentialing to say, I can apply what I'm learning in the appropriate manner. Professions are always service-oriented. Social work by its very nature is service-oriented. It is one of the benefits and the challenges because we care about people. That's why almost all of us are social workers. We care about people and we want to make a difference in the lives of others. And then finally, professions have accountability. So accountability means that we have regulatory boards that have oversight of what we do. And so we are teaching you within this program about how to work within the rules of organizations, of communities, of laws. And so you'll see that in assignments when we're asking you to do assignments in specific ways according to specific rules, because we are modeling and mentoring you to operate according to what regulatory boards require of us, not to mention the Council of Social Work Education. So I'm saying all that to say, you are really going to go on a journey. You are equipped to do it, and you'll be better equipped at the end. Please start thinking of yourself as professionals. You are professionals in training, and we're welcoming you aboard, and we're going to mentor you and model for you, and we're going to teach you, and then we're going to let you fly and apply it in special settings like your field placements, so that that you'll hear this word a lot. Signature pedagogy. If you haven't heard it before, you're going to hear it through this program. The signature pedagogy, the art and science of social work, is in the work we do in agencies. And so that's why that the classes and your field placement agencies happen at the same time. So you're learning and applying all at the same time, because the actual work in the agency is the work of social work. And so we're giving you that environment to build your skills. So I've said a lot, but I just want you to know that you're entering into an honorable profession. And we're looking forward to working with you. Thank you. Back to you, Dr. Hodges.
Thank you, Dr. Coleman-Reed. We appreciate it. I just wanted to echo one thing that Dr. Coleman-Reed had said, which is I want to offer a heartfelt thanks to all of you who are devoting yourself to a program and to a profession to help vulnerable people, families, individuals, communities, society. We need all of you out there. Social work, in my opinion, is one of the most noble professions in this country. And so it really takes a lot of us to address societal issues. So thank you. I just want to say that from the bottom of my heart. All right, so I'm going to go around and have faculty introduce themselves, starting with those of us who are here in person, and we have some folks online as well. So I'm going to start with Dr. Berkowitz.
Hi, everyone. So nice to see all of your faces and all of your faces. Wait. I focus on policy and self-care for social workers, particularly the barriers to it and how we can overcome them. So those are the two main areas I focus on. And I tend to see students towards the end of their program.
All right, thank you. Dr. Dozier.
Hey y'all, how y'all doing? I don't want to go second. Hey y'all, I tried to figure out where the seating was gonna flow. But I am Dr. Crystal Dozier, and I teach in both the MSW as well as BSW program. In the MSW program, if you're in the 2-year program, you will see me in the human behavior course, the second part. So I look forward to having you all in that class. My research centers around first-generation college students. I've identified as a first-generation college student who's first in their family to go to college. And so it's something I'm very passionate about. But in that process, I'm passionate about connecting with students, mentoring students, and making sure that they're successful on their academic journeys. I'm super quiet, but super loud. So it's 2 different personalities. But they don't believe it. But that's me. So look forward to having you all in our program, and just welcome.
Yeah. Thank you. Ms. Owens.
I am Trenda Owens, and I'm happy to see everyone here. I have gotten a chance to speak to many of you. I am the 2-year field director here, and I teach field seminar class. I also teach some bachelor level courses, social work skills practice lab, and diversity and cultural competency. And this summer, I'm teaching a master level course, Transformative Social Work, a Change Agents Toolkit, which is a very exciting course. So I hope I get to teach it again. Uh, so again, I'm excited to get to know many of you throughout this upcoming year. And hey, I'm here if you need me.
Thank you, Ms. Owens. Ms. Wright.
Hi, everyone. I am Kimberly Wright. I am the field director for advanced standing students in the one-year MSW program. And then I'm also the field director for our BSW program. So I teach across both programs. I also really have a strong focus on forensic social work. And so I teach a course which is currently being offered in the BSW program on forensic social work. Hopeful maybe eventually we'll be able to offer that at the MSW level, but that is definitely a passion of mine. It's really good to see some familiar faces and really nice to meet some new students as well. So I look forward to working with all of you.
Thank you, Ms. Wright. Dr. Lee.
I'm Dr. Stacey Lee, and I teach in the BSW program and the MSW program. For the MSW, I'll see you your last 8 weeks when you are ready to be done. I also teach this fall will be strength-based practices and perspectives. So it's an elective. Sign up for it. And this summer I was teaching in the MSW program, international and global social work. So my passion is people with disabilities and making sure that they are not pushed to the side. Just leave it at that. So, and also leadership and supervision. I look forward to seeing y'all and glad you're here today.
All right, thank you, Dr. Lee. Dr. Bailey.
And I teach a community social work with groups, communities, and organizations in the BSW program. And this summer I've been teaching a similar class in the MSW program, social work with organizations and communities. And I will see you at the last 8 weeks, like Dr. Lee said, the last 8 weeks of the program. I teach the licensure course. And I do want to encourage you to, as you're finishing, don't forget that we want to honor you and celebrate your accomplishment. So be sure to come to our celebration before graduation, our graduation reception. More details.
Thank you. So we also have faculty who are, as it's summer, who are in different places right now. I believe we have Mr. Brown online. Are you there?
Yes, I am.
All right.
Greetings from paradise. I'm currently on Dolphin Island, and I was going to do it from my balcony overlooking, and I was out there earlier, but my phone overheated, so I had to come inside. But it's a beautiful day here at Dolphin Island. Anyway, I love our MSW program. I love teaching in this program, and I'm very excited that you're a part of this. It's going to change your lives. It's going to change your profession. You're going to see me, if you're a 2-year student, right out of the gate. I'm going to teach two of your first courses that first 8 weeks. I teach the orientation to social work, ethics, values, and professionalism. And I also teach the foundational class in policy, and we're going to learn about engaging in policy practice, which is one of the competencies we're going to want you to master during the program. And we're going to do some practical things to give you opportunities to kind of get your feet wet in engaging in policy practice. I have a lot of interest in clinical social worker and clinical social work. I'm an active practitioner. I do counseling services. For those of you in the 2-year program, I teach a course on advanced practice with children, adolescents, and families, and it's a course in clinical social work where we look at theories of counseling and how we pull techniques of therapeutic services from clinical theory. I also teach a couple of practice electives. I teach an elective in family violence, and I also teach an elective. First time we taught it this summer, advanced practice with substance misuse clients. And I'm very excited about all of those classes. I'm glad you're here. I look forward to getting to know you better. And one of the things that makes our program stand out is the faculty are very personable and we want to get to know you. I like to say I don't want to be the professor on the other side of the computer grading your papers, but I want to interact with you and I want to get to know you. So reach out to me when you're in my classes and let's get to know each other better. Again, I'm Doug Brown, Roaring Lions, and I look forward to seeing y'all in a few weeks.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. I'm sure none of us.
Dr. Hodges, may I interrupt you?
Yes.
Dr. Lee and Dr. Bailey are not fully visible.
We're okay with that.
Sure enough.
I know they don't want me to say that, but it's true.
Okay, for the benefit of those of you on Teams, I appreciate that, Dr. Coleman-Reed. We had a lot of technology issues getting this set up today, so I don't want to mess with the camera because I think I'll lose it. However, to put you on the spot, if Dr. Lee and Dr. Bailey will step over this way for a moment and just say hi, since you were disembodied voices earlier.
Now clarify.
That
who
gets
you
to your-
are.
Wait,
Now
now
they can see your head.
Now they can't see your head. You're headless.
Come over here and crouch down.
Looks
first.
like
Dr. Lee,
Thank you. I am really spooked today that if I touch one setting on Microsoft Teams or with the camera in the room, the world's going to explode. And that's not an exaggeration. No, I'm kidding, but thank you for notifying us of that, Dr. Coleman-Reed. So I'm sure none of us are jealous of Mr. Brown being at the beach. In retrospect, we probably should have just held the orientation there, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Next
So-
year. Next
All
time.
right. So we have another faculty member who I don't believe is online, but let me check. Dr. Chima, are you online?
He's there.
He is? Oh, wonderful. Dr. Chima, I'll turn it over to you.
Hi everyone, I am online. Hello everyone, nice to see you all. Congratulations on making it into the program. So my areas are research methods in the foundational year, program evaluation in the advanced year, and then an elective and global social work. And my own research interests are immigration and psychosocial well-being. So if those pique your interest, I look forward to getting to work with you.
Thank you, Dr. Chima. We appreciate it. So I want to recognize we have 3 new full-time faculty coming on board who you will see in the MSW program. They are not with us quite yet, but they are Dr. April Vivrette, Ms. Daisha Burgess, and Dr. Shanquella Williams. They will teach across the curriculum with different content areas as well as in field. So you're not meeting everyone today, but you'll get to know folks as you move along in the program. And then last but not least, although she's not here at the moment, I want to thank Miss Amy Thompson, who probably many of you have already interacted with. She is the administrative assistant for the Department of Social Work. And if you were here in the room when you saw the technology issues earlier on, she was a godsend.
Keep the trains running.
She keeps the trains running, exactly. And she is often the point of contact for the department. So you may interface with her if you have questions about campus or about a service on campus. So I just wanted to introduce her as well. If you go to the Department of Social Work webpage, you will see a link to faculty and staff, and you can find out more about faculty's teaching and research interests. And Ms. Thompson is on there as well. All right. At this point, what we're going to do is move into a presentation from Dr. Berkowitz. This is an intensive program. We'll talk more about the structure of the program a little bit later. But we also recognize that all of you as students have a lot on your plate. You have school. Many of you have families, employment, other obligations. So one of the issues that we are increasingly as a profession becoming better at recognizing and addressing is self-care. Self-care in the sense of taking care of our professional and personal selves to allow us to reach our highest potential as social workers. So Dr. Berkowitz not only teaches an elective on self-care, but she was kind enough to offer today to give a brief overview of some of the concepts and talk to you about very important issues.
So will teams explode if I open up?
No, it won't, but you'll want to share the screen. Let's see if we can get all this up. Tell you what, hang on for a minute. For those of you online, you want to make sure you can see this as well.
It's not visible to me, Dr. Hodges.
Okay. Thank you. Can you all see it now online?
Yes.
Perfect. All right.
Okay. If you see me looking at my phone, it's just to make sure I'm a stickler for time. I just want to make sure I don't take too much of it. So thank you for that lovely welcome. I've had kind of an atypical perspective when it comes to self-care. Most of the time when I see it covered, it's from the lens of, you know, here's a million things that you can do for self-care, and that's a good thing, right? But up until a few years ago, I had never really seen any statistics or any research on, okay, but like how many of us are actually doing it? So I started doing that research, and I was pretty deeply upset with what I found. Most social workers are not able to meet their self-care needs, well, at least full. And I personally think that's something that more social workers should hear. Of course, I want everyone to meet all their needs, and I want everyone to do the best they can. I'm not telling you to give up. I just feel like it's important for people to know, because I think a lot of people internalize like there's something wrong with me because I can't meet all my needs. When personally, I think it's largely due to systemic issues. So I'm definitely going to talk about things that you can do, right? To try to make changes and best support yourself. But I also want you to keep in mind that if you fall short of that, that it's likely not your fault, right? You all are so busy. We are very empathetic staff. You're going to be taking classes and doing your field and working, and a lot of you have families, you know, so you just do the best. If you take nothing else away from today, one, if you can meet all your needs, you're not alone. And two, little things can add up, right? I think a lot of people, we tend to go into the binary of like, well, if I can't run 5 miles a day, it's all right, like whatever. But a lot of times these little things that we can do really add up. So I think that's a good thing. So there's so many definitions out there. It's a can't think. That's, but I like this one, first slide. Organizations take benefits reviews to their love it. In a study I did, one of my participants said something like, "Is anything you do to take care of yourself to feel well?" It's my belief that people kind of inherently know what makes them feel good and restored, and it's just we have to like give ourselves the best chance possible of being able to do just. So what it looks like, a lot of things that again we're familiar with. Personally, I think it can be anything, right? Like that's, I think one of the cool things about self-care. Again, a lot of people have kind of narrow way of looking at it, but I think of it, it's more about how does it make you feel and what do you do? You can probably do whatever as long as it's making you feel better, making you feel restored, ideally. So, you know, whatever makes you feel, whatever floats your boat. There are different types of self-care. I think that's a good thing to keep in mind. If you're ever not feeling quite right, it might be good to just like check in and to see, you might be missing something from one of these areas. So physical, emotional, mental, social, spiritual, professional. So again, we can't always fix it right away, but it can just identify at least that, you know, we've got something going on. That can be helpful, so you can meet it where you can. And then similarly, you know, there's lots of different types of rest. I don't know if that one's very like super intuitive to everyone, so I think that's a good thing to note. We don't always need the same stuff, right? We vary from different times in our lives. Sometimes you need sleep. Sometimes you just need to not have anyone talk to you. You need to close your eyes, right? There's like lots of different types of rest, and also there's nothing wrong with any of them. So that's a good thing to keep in mind too. Started to hit on this earlier. These are just some of the studies. Some of the main ones that have been done. You know, so limited to moderate, or what the findings have been about the amount of social workers that are able to engage in appropriate self-care. And unfortunately, we find that to be similar with social work students as well. So again, I don't want to bum you out. I just want you to have a realistic view, right? You go into this program thinking, I am going to be, you know, everything to everybody and to myself, right? That might not be realistic. But if you don't go in thinking, I'm going to do the best I can, whatever that looks like, and I'm going to, you know, take care of this myself to the best of my ability, right? So that's why I keep talking about it, because I don't want you to have realistic expectations. Okay, so we'll talk about some tips. So something that I find really interesting about self-care is that a lot of times people talk about, what can I add, right? Can I do yoga? Can I fly the moon? And those are good things to think about and look for. But a lot of times what people don't hit on and is equally, if not maybe more important, is what can I take away? So, I don't know, but it's important. So like, this, you know, one area that a lot of people don't think to question, it's just kind of ingrained, is at home, right? A lot of people are just used to, well, I do the dishes and I cook and I whatever. But this might be a good time for you to revisit some of those things, even if it's just for a little while you get your feet under yourself with the program. You know, if there's anybody who's a bit less busy than you're going to be, you might consider asking, you know, can we rearrange some things? If I normally do the dishes, can you do the dishes? You know, if you normally cook, can you cook? Right? So again, it's just that a lot of people don't think to question that. And so just a reminder that that is definitely something you can question. And then similarly, you can do the same thing at work and in your internships. It's just asking for clarification. You know, if you have a lot of demands and you're not sure where to start, it's always okay to kind of just check in on what are the priorities and make sure you understand the importance of, right? I think it's really interesting that different people have different ideas of what's important, right? Just this summer, a couple weeks ago, I sat down with Dr. Coleman Reed and I asked her about something that I thought she thought was super important. And she was like, actually, I do not care about that one bit. And it just made me not like, I really do not care. Because we're not going to work. So just keep in mind that that's something you can do as well. And, you know, checking in with your internship, if, you know, your advisor, your supervisor, you know, just making sure that what you think it is an accurate reflection of what they're looking for. So again, about little things, right? So I really think that's the best place to start in a time, in a season like this, where you're so busy. I mean, I don't want to scare anybody, but hopefully it's already been. So I would just encourage you to think about little things, right? Again, I have definitely been on this self-care journey myself, and don't have it all figured out. I don't think anybody does 100%, but like I've gotten a lot better. When I first started, I literally, that example I gave about if I can't run 5 miles a day, I'm like, well, what's the use? So, but eventually I started with like literally 30 seconds of physical activity a day. It's like I can do 30 seconds. And I built up from there. So, just figuring out what are small things you can do for yourself. And again, there's like a million different ways out there, and there's no wrong way. If you're going to be working at a desk, or there are oftentimes things you can do at your desk, like neck stretches and wrist stretches and stuff like that. So just trying to find little things you can do. Basically the same. And can you do it badly? I think a lot of times people are scared to try new things because they're worried about doing it badly. So I would encourage you, if you have any of those kinds of feelings, to try to, give yourself a little bit of grace, because, who cares? Like, if you do it badly, it can still be very enjoyable. Like, I am an awful, awful painter, but I love it. It brings me so much joy. So I do it anyway. And I think you think that you feel happy, even if you're like not the typical perception of, good at it. Who cares? Plus, everybody has different perceptions of what is good, right? It's not just planning and accepting. So we're going to talk in a little bit about just kind of tips and tricks, things to keep in mind. And so that's going to be related to the program, but a lot of them can pertain similarly to your self-care. So I really like putting things in the calendar. And if you have a family calendar, I find that people really, for some reason, respect the heck out of the family calendar. So put a family calendar. I am out of here. Do not call for me. I am not available. And like, you might be surprised, they will respect that a lot of time. Timers, I use about 1 million of them to help remind me to do things from drinking water to taking a break. So I personally find that helpful. If there are any neurodivergents in the room, I feel like particularly with neurodivergents can be very helpful. Then if you're a person, I find that a lot of people will get to this point where they want to take some action, but in the moment it can be like, you just can't remember. So just jotting down a list when you're kind of in a good place of the things that you like to do, and maybe even breaking up the list into like different capacity levels, so that you just have it handy when you get into that kind of phase where you want to do something, but you're not exactly sure what to do. Me in the past immediately made a list for myself, right? And then again, just try to be nice to yourself, because inevitably you're not going to be 100%. It's just not possible, right? There are only so many hours in the day. There are only so much energy in our body. You're going to do the best you can, and then try to be nice to yourself about the rest. And this is a couple minutes. If anybody has any questions. Thoughts? Well, like I said, have any questions? It's such a good program. I obviously am biased, but I really think so. And something that I find that I hear from students and former students that sets us apart from other programs is how much we care and like how much we engage with students. Like when we say contact us, we mean it. Like if you hit us up, we're going to talk to you. So be careful or you're going to ruin the day. But yeah, so ask for help, ask for clarification. If there's something you'd like resources on, sometimes these classes move so fast, we can't give adequately to everything. So if you learn about something in class and you'd like to know more about it, feel free to reach out to your instructor and say, hey, do you know where I can get more resources on that? So when we say we're here for you, we really mean it, but you gotta reach out to them. So that's it.
All right, thank you, Dr. Berkowitz.
Thank you.
Let's make sure we. You all see the participants here, correct? You're online. Okay, so you stopped sharing, correct?
Oh, I just closed out the
That should
your point.
we make sure we're not. All right. Thank you. For those of you who may or may not be aware, the National Association of Social Workers Code of Ethics, which is the code that guides all professional social work, relatively recently, it's been a few years, 2021, I knew one of you would know it. I was going to turn to you. Added self-care as part of our ethical responsibilities for all the reasons that Dr. Berkowitz touched upon. And also, I'm so glad that she said something that I was going to follow up with, which is we do care. We're not just saying that. And part of caring is assisting you in juggling everything you have going on. So that is super important. And if you don't keep a calendar of some sort, whether you're an old school paper calendar person or an online calendar, Outlook or Google, I highly recommend that you do that. Also, I just want to remind you all in terms of self-care, since we're on the topic, please remember that it's absolutely fine to get up and take a break as you need to, even before or after the 4:30-ish break. So with that, we're going to move on to a description of the program and the curriculum. And I want to encourage all faculty here and online to chime in. I'm not going to remember everything, and no one wants to hear me talk for the whole time, not even myself. So feel free to ask questions as they come up if you're here or online. Faculty will address various aspects of it. But I wanted to start with some elements of the curriculum that you may be aware of, but are a little different than some programs. And the first of which is all of your courses are 8 weeks. So within a given semester, fall 2025 that we're coming up on, there are 2 8-week sessions, they're called. So each class begins and ends in 8 weeks. They don't continue across the entire 16-week session. This program at its inception was geared toward people who, like yourselves, who are busy, in many cases working adults, parents, family members. So an 8-week class gives you a little bit more of an opportunity to get in, learn material, incorporate material into your social work practice skill set, and finish up that particular course. Having said that, given that they are 8 weeks and that it is graduate school, they're very reading and writing and time intensive. So again, that's a big part of the reason Dr. Berkowitz talked to you about self-care right off the bat is you will be doing a lot of reading and writing throughout this program. Now, writing will take a lot of different forms. It may be a research paper. It may be discussion posts on Canvas, which is the educational platform we use at UNA. It may be email questions, that sort of thing. So definitely keeping up on that fast-paced environment is the single most important thing I think I can impart to you because of the 8-week nature of the courses. And likewise, your field internship seminars that go along with your actual internship are taught in 8-week sessions as well. So given that, I also wanted to mention a little bit about the nature of online learning. Probably many of you in this room have already been part of an online program or at least an online class here or there, but some of you may have not been an online learner. So as you would expect, an online course requires more of you in an online program in terms of being assertive, proactive, reaching out when you need help.
Yep.
And when you need help, if you're in a class and you have a question, please reach out to your professor for that class. You have opportunities via email, but also all faculty have office hours. And in the MSW program, we have a combination of online and in-person office hours. Some of you are local and may prefer to meet with a faculty member about a question or an assignment in person. But we also recognize that most of you are scattered throughout the region, if not the country. So we have online office hours as well.
A lot of us also make appointments if you're working during those hours, someone might be able to meet with you after 5 if you ask. Not a guarantee, but you ask maybe.
Absolutely. We recognize that many of you have full-time jobs during the traditional work hours. And that goes for classes as well. We try to, when there are meetings, we try to keep in mind people's schedules. Again, as a program geared toward people with a lot on their plates. So reach out to your faculty member, but you all will also be assigned an academic advisor. That person, if you have general questions about the program, about the profession, or something on campus, you're just not quite sure, where do I turn to ask a question about financial aid or assistance in another area, your academic advisor can guide you. We are assigned as your advisors based on first letter of your last name. When you go into UNA portal, which is the online sort of hub, the home for UNA students, you'll see a link to your academic advisor. You click that link and that will pull up an email option. Now, right now, because we have new faculty coming on board, if you look at your portal, you don't have an academic advisor assigned to you, please contact me as director of the MSW program, and I can address any problems or questions or concerns you have prior to the start of the semester. In fact, I think that Mrs. Thompson has already entered me for unassigned students as your advisor. And I know as you move toward the start of the semester in mid-August, questions come up. So feel free, I'm on email, I can make appointments, and your academic advisors can as well. All right, so the nature of online learning. Keep in mind that because this is an online program, one of the myths that I've heard occasionally is that you do it at your own pace. That's true to a degree, but I want to clarify something because I just had a conversation with a student about this. Because it's online doesn't mean that there aren't due dates for your papers, your discussion posts, group demonstration of clinical skills, certainly deadlines in your internship for paperwork, for applications, that kind of thing. But what it means when I say there is an element of truth to that is that our classes are taught asynchronously, meaning that you do not have to be online every Tuesday at 3:30 in the afternoon for social work 503. When classes have live sessions, our faculty tend to record them as well, tend to offer options in the evenings so that those of you who are busy during the day have access to that. We recognize that we can't get everyone to meet for a class at a certain time. So that's the nature of asynchronous learning. But it is online learning to me, and I saw this firsthand I've taken some online courses here and there, but during the pandemic, I have two children who are both in school, and I'm sure some of you ran into this as well. And when we moved online, both here at UNA as faculty, but when my children moved online, my spouse and I really worked with them on being more self-directed, more self-guided, making sure that you set a schedule for yourself. Because, and I don't mean to talk down to anyone, but I remember saying to my older daughter, just because there's not a faculty member in a physical classroom in front of you telling you, remember, tomorrow you have this assignment due, it's still out there. Yeah. So, and that was a learning curve for them, and I think for a lot of us as faculty as well, moving into the online realm as the pandemic happened and in other online settings as well. So that's why we keep stressing, and I think we've said it 15,000 times already this afternoon, that we do care and we want to put a human face on this program, because there's nothing worse than entering into an online program and all you ever see of us is a name on a screen, not knowing or not feeling comfortable approaching us. We're here to answer questions, to interact with you as you wish, as needed, and as required in your various courses as well. So, okay, couple other items of business, and then again, everyone jump in as we go if you have thoughts about this.
Dr. Hodges.
Yes, go ahead.
May I say, part of what I think that's really important about what you said in online asynchronous learning is because we are a professional program. We're training people to be effective in a profession. Then we are wanting to see students, social workers in training, who are able to engage in time management, who are able to prioritize the demands that they have on their life, and who are able to cry uncle. And I need some help and support, because the hallmark of social work is the supervisor's relationship with the social worker. So while you're in training to be a social worker, the faculty is like your supervisor in an agency. The faculty, your advisor, uh, and in the field setting as well. So that means that you seek supervision appropriately. Don't try to work in the dark. Don't try to guess about expectations. Ask for clarification, because that helps us see that you are seeking supervision appropriately. And sometimes it helps us be able to support that you are on the right track. That no, this is something you don't have to ask us about. You're doing fine. The nerves you're having, that's normal. So supervision is critical in social work. Thank you, Dr. Hodges.
Can I elaborate on something before we go? So I was going to talk about more about due dates and reading assignments, but before, is that
Yeah.
the time?
Absolutely.
So just want to make a recommendation. When we do see students struggle, I think a lot of times it's because either, as Dr. Coleman Reed was just talking about, they're struggling with time management, or they struggle with the nature of an assignment. So a big recommendation that I have is at the start of a session to go then when you're, especially when you're a little bit clearer, things aren't as frenzied, and go through the assignments you have. One, make sure you know the dates that everything is due and put those in your calendars that Dr. Hodges suggested. They really are so valuable. But making sure you know when everything is due, and then two, making sure you understand the nature of the assignments. Like I said, I cannot tell you how many students just get to the week as an assignment is due and they realize they don't understand it at all. And sometimes they're too whatever to ask about it, and then they flounder some more. And we hate to see that. We want to support you. We would love it if you understood it from the get-go or a week before it was due. But if it's 30 days before it's due, whatever, I mean, it's still better to ask than to turn in something that's awful and and do poorly. So so just, I think that's really helpful to students, is read it early, make sure you understand it before things get really hectic.
I would say something else to keep in mind, and Ms. White and Ms. Evans may talk about this later with field, is it's not just academic work, field place. You need to think about your classes and then how you are implementing those skills and values and knowledge at your field place and practice. So think about and articulating those things as well. And if you don't know how, ask those questions. Like, okay, I understand this theory, but how do I actually put it into practice, or anything like that? If you have a question, it just helps to show that you're connecting the academic side to the field side.
And I was reflecting on some things Dr. Berkowitz as well as Dr. Coleman Reed said, and it reminded me of something else, which is I've been a social work faculty member for 25 years, and if there's one mistake I see students struggle with on an assignment about the nature of the assignment, is being intimidated or unwilling or too shy or whatever to ask the professor and turning to your peers instead.
Yeah.
Peer support is incredibly important. But if you have a question about a paper or an assignment or a role play in a class, please go to the instructor, him or herself, because it makes me feel terrible if a student turns in an assignment to me and it just doesn't quite meet the mark. And they said, well, so-and-so in the class told me this is what you wanted.
Yeah.
And I didn't get the chance to clarify that. So, and again, that is not meant to denigrate supporting each other at all. In fact, we encourage you folks in your cohorts to find ways to support each other, which is even more important online, whether that's a group meet, a Facebook group, other ways that you will go through this program together and meet people and get to know your classmates. And many of you may end up practicing in similar areas or agencies. That's critically important, but always come to the person who gave you the assignment for questions with it. Yeah, I think that's absolutely essential.
So I was in a doctorate program all online, but then we had to go do like residencies on campus. And I will tell you, finding your people in your cohort is so important. The communication, not to be an island by yourself, because just like Dr. Coleman Green said, we are a personal profession. Get to know each other. Yes, utilize faculty appropriately for supervision and help, but also just to help each other and say, hey guys, don't forget, we got this coming up. And encourage each other. I know we were encouraged to find an accountability partner. And when a girl that was in Georgia reached out to me and said, will you be my accountability partner? I was like, I have a friend. So, because I didn't know anybody in my program. You know, my program was in a whole different state. And we were the two Southern girls. So just find your people. And if you are thinking, well, we already have my people, get new people. Just new
Additional.
people. Exactly.
Wow.
Get some more people.
Absolutely. So I have 2 points about communication I want to make sure we're clear on. One is, I mentioned earlier that Canvas is the educational platform that all your classes are taught through. Canvas has an email function that you can use, and many of you probably have already used Canvas, but some of you maybe not. An email function that you can contact your instructor and that they'll contact you regarding class assignments, class business. But the other part of that is, as you were accepted into the program and received the welcome material and the orientation material, you were asked to set up your UNA portal email. That's your official UNA email through which all communication from me, for example, as program director, from UNA about campus activities, about registration, those sorts of things will come. Please make sure that you have activated your portal email and you check it regularly. It's too easy to get into the mindset that, well, all my classes are in Canvas, my professors are communicating with me in Canvas. You'll miss emails that are critically important. You'll miss emails from your advisor who may not currently have you in a specific class. And I also said all this to you folks in an email welcoming you to the program, but we cannot communicate with you to a personal email, your Gmail account or whatever, because there's a federal act called FERPA, Federal Educational Rights and Privacy Act, I think it stands for, that we have to communicate through an official email. So please get used to checking that, because again, it makes me really nervous when I hear from a student that, oh, I didn't get this email or that email. And I say, well, it was sent out on portal on September 15th. And they say, oh, I didn't realize that I should be checking that email.
Yeah, and same goes for your work emails as well, because I know a lot of you are working in agencies. So just be sure if you're emailing us that you're doing that through your UNA email. That's where we'll need to communicate with you. And then if you don't mind, I was going to add something to the communication. That communication is so important, you guys. And not only important just for discussing your assignments, but especially if something is going on in your personal lives that is taking time away maybe from your studies or your education. For instance, if you get sick, you know, you get hospitalized for a period of time and you know you're not going to be able to get an assignment in on time, it is always best to reach out in advance or as soon as you know there's a barrier. Because you will find, as they have mentioned already, that the faculty is incredibly supportive. And if you reach out, you're proactive and you are communicating effectively, then I would like to say 10 times out of 10, your faculty is going to be supportive of you and they're going to help you through whatever you're dealing with. But if you wait and you think, oh, I can just handle this on my own, and then you turn in your assignment late, you know, you're gonna have a different outcome.
Yep.
So I just say that to say, and that goes for your internships as well, and we'll talk about that, just with the professionalism piece, always being proactive and communicating. That's so, so important.
Absolutely. Thank you. All right, a couple other points. If you've not registered for fall classes yet, please do so. That helps us as well as helps UNA in saving seats and making sure that everyone who is in the program is registered. And I mentioned before, but because of this somewhat different structure of the 8-week classes, please register for all your semester classes at once. And I want to share something with you, a visual really quickly, that will help you visualize this. And that is the curriculum guide. So give me just a moment to pull this up. And I will share the screen as soon as I get this pulled up. Are you all seeing the plan of study?
Yes.
Okay, good, because as we all know in our field, sharing is caring. So, sharing. All right. This is on our website, and the Department of Social Work website, which is housed, of course, on the UNA's website, una.edu. And just put in social work in the search bar to find us, has all of your handbooks for the master's program, your student handbook, your field instruction handbook. It has this document. It has overviews with a paragraph description of every single course in the program. So it's your one-stop shop. It's the Walmart, the UNA website. So I can't guarantee that you can get your haircuts there as well, Walmart, but pretty much everything else.
Yeah.
But I want to show you this really quickly. And this was also, or a version of this was emailed out to all of you as you were accepted into the program. But this is just a visual way to look at the structure. If you are a 2-year student, then this first year is where you start. You see that over here we have 8-week session 1, 8-week session 2. But if, for example, if you're a 2-year student, you should have already, or if not, please do so, register for all of these courses. Don't wait to register for the second 8-week courses because it causes a lot of headaches for the registrar's office and internally for Mrs. Thompson and myself. But this is your guide to the program. If you're a 1-year advanced standing student who comes into this program with a BSW, then your course of study is this second component. This is the second year for all of you who are 2-year students and the first and only year for advanced standing students. And what I wanted to point out is that most semesters, most sessions, I need to say that more clearly, most sessions, you will have 2 academic classes along with your field internship. However, there are some semesters, for example, for the 2-year students, this first 8-week session, you see that you have 3 courses as well as your field internship. So that's the typical load. As you move through this worksheet and you progress through the program, if you're a 2-year student, you need to pick up 2 social work electives, 2 master's electives. And they're slotted in here. You can see where it says social work XXX elective. That second 8-week session of your second semester is when you schedule it. And we have a whole range of electives we offer. Some of them have already been mentioned. And then your second year, in your last 8 weeks, you pick up your second elective. If you're a 1-year advanced standing student, you just need 1 elective. And again, it's down here in your last session of your last semester. So the program is designed to build upon itself. The curriculum is intentionally sequenced to allow you to go through each 8-week session and build upon what you've learned in the previous 8-week session. Same with field internship experience. So this again is your guide. And if I, let's see, if I can share this window quickly, I want to show you one other thing. Okay, so this is what I was talking about with the Department of Social Work website. Let me go back to the homepage. This is what you see as the landing page for our website. And up here, you have three main links, the BSW, MSW, and faculty staff link. And again, this is where you can see more about who will be teaching the program. You have your full-time faculty, as well as we have a lot of what we call adjunct faculty, part-time faculty. These are folks who will teach many of your classes who are experts out there in the field doing social, who are experts in their content area. So they're listed here as well. But what I wanted to be sure to mention to you is where I said everything is housed on the website, it's down here on this left-hand bar. You see the description of courses, for example, information about your field placement, handbooks and manuals for the program, that sort of thing as well. So a lot of your questions can be answered by the material we've housed for you here already. All right, let me stop the sharing so we don't see each other again. I'll allow Teams to do that. I'm interested. Okay, excellent. So a couple other points I wanted to make before we wrap up this section of the orientation is because it is an intensive program, we've said that already, and it moves fast. You may get into the program and realize as you're juggling school and family and relationships and work that you need to take a breath, slow down and say, wait, this is too much for me right now. If that is the case, first thing you do, talk to your advisor, okay? Please talk to your advisor, make an appointment, have a discussion with them about what's going on for you. Do that proactively, do it early. But I say all this to let you know there are also options for part-time.
Mhm.
So this is structured as a full-time program. And as I mentioned, you typically take for every 8-week session, 2 courses and your internship. Some sessions, 3 courses in your internship. However, you can drop back to part-time with the understanding that it'll take you longer to complete, which is kind of the obvious statement of the day, I suppose. But you can do it part-time. And we have a number of students every semester who start out full-time and say, this would work better for me if I took 1 class at my placement. Or some, and if you decide to do that, I'll work with you individually as program director on designing a part-time program. So you'll have a roadmap. We'll break it down. So we'll say for each session of each semester, here's what you'll take. And this is when you'll be graduating. So we don't necessarily have on the website a fixed, rigid, part-time curricular check sheet because it might vary for many of you. Some of you may not engage in internship in a specific semester, but focus more on the classes or vice versa to some degree. But just know that's out there. It's not that uncommon that students say, I do need to look at a part-time option. The other thing I want to mention about that, because it is a misconception, is if you choose to go part-time, you're not locked into that. If you take a part-time semester and then situations change in your life, you cut back work hours or something else changes, you can move back to full-time. The other idea that can help you is we offer some summer MSW classes as well. We always offer electives in the summer. So if you look at a given semester and that semester where you have to take an elective, so you have 3 classes plus your field internship is just going to be too much. If you're able to do summer courses, you can knock out an elective or 2 in the summer. We usually offer, what, 3-4 electives to choose from.
They're very fast.
Yes.
They're 4 weeks, right?
Yeah, and that is a very, thank you for saying that.
You're welcome.
If we're saying 8-week classes are fast. In the summer, most of our classes, not all, but most are 4 weeks. And that's true at the undergraduate and graduate level as well. So a class is either June or July. Now we are moving into offering some required courses here and there as well. They differ by summer, and some of those required courses are across June and July. But as you talk to your advisor, and as we plan ahead and start constructing schedules for summer, you can let your advisor know, hey, is there anything going to be offered in summer that I could potentially take? Now, summer might depend upon your finances. There are different rules if you're on different types of financial aid or loans about participation in summer. So just know that. But it has been a way. In fact, I just finished meeting with a student at the end of last semester who thought that she was going to drop back to part-time. And when she realized there were some options in the summer to maintain full-time status, that prevented her from having to do so. So just know that's out there. All right, another point to be aware of is in graduate school at UNA, across all programs, there are academic standards you must meet. And to put it very broadly, you need to be an A or B student. A's or B's are considered good grade, satisfactory grades in graduate school. You can earn a C grade, but I want y'all to hear this clearly. I don't say this to scare anyone. But if you earn 3 C grades or 2 D or F grades in graduate school at UNA, you're dismissed from the program. That's not even a Department of Social Work guideline. That's the UNA graduate school guideline. So you got to be really careful. And if you're at risk of earning a non-passing grade, be in touch with each faculty member that's relevant for that class, obviously, but also your advisor. There may be times where something comes up, as other faculty have already mentioned. You have a medical crisis during a semester, or other things happen. Be proactive, communicate with your professor. With medical issues, for example, you may have the opportunity to take an incomplete grade and finish up the work after the semester. You may need to withdraw from a class, and there are deadlines you have to do that by, because what you don't want to do is get yourself into an academic hole that's hard to climb out of. So again, 3 C's or 2 D's or F's will result in dismissal. If you earn a C grade, 1 C during your program or 2 C's, you do not need to repeat that. However, if you earn a D or an F, and it's just 1 and you aren't dismissed from the program, you still have to repeat that class. So I just want to be super clear. I do not tell you this with the intent of sounding harsh, or I just want, to have that on your radar. And in many cases, if you know you're not going to be able to pass a class, a withdrawal and getting a W grade and then reattempting the class another semester is preferable to failing that class. Because a W does not impact your GPA, whereas an F or a D would. So in addition to A and B grades, which is what you want to shoot for, you have to maintain 3.0 graduate GPA to graduate at the end of your program. So when I say a 3.0, that's why I say A and B, which is what a 3.0 is, are acceptable grades. Okay. All right, that's the part of this orientation that I hate the most. Just saying that because it sounds super draconian, and I don't mean it that way, but it's a little different. For example, at UNA, in undergraduate education, a C is a passing grade, a D is technically a passing grade in many programs. So I just want you to know that, like any school, this is not just UNA, any university has a little bit different standards for graduate scholastic achievement than undergraduate scholastic achievement. So, all right, let's see where we're at. Anyone else on faculty here or online have anything else to add about anything we've covered or anything we haven't covered?
I want to mention something about the grades, just in case anyone's terrified. I don't know if other instructors find this, but I find that because of that structure, right, that rules in place, I find that the A and B almost becomes like a spectrum, right? Like it's almost like there's a C and D, B is the B, right? I don't know if that makes sense to everybody, but so there's just oh, I hate the sound of my voice. No, so yeah, so it might not be as scary as it sounds. I feel like it is a little bit different. That's what I find.
something else, just in case other schools, may do like an A, minus or an A plus. We don't do that. An A is an A, okay?
Mhm.
So whether you make a 90 or 100, it's still an A. And then 80 to 89 is a B, 70 to 79, C, and so forth. But I say that to say some people strive for perfection with 100%. And I understand that, okay, because I was an overachiever. It's okay to make a B, okay? So I say that to just say to you, if you are one of those that think, I've never made a B in my life, I'm not going to start now. Grad school is a little different, and you have a lot of things going on. Just as Dr. Kirkwood said about Grace, what's the worst if you make a B?
Yeah, I'm not discouraging you from making straight A's, but your 4.0 GPA doesn't matter a whole lot once you get out of school, right? So we really want you to maintain the information.
And it's more
it's
about,
less about
yeah,
it's more about
the skill
the
and the
information.
knowledge.
Yeah.
Whether you have a 90 or a 99, it's still an A.
Mhm.
And going back to what Dr. Berkeley said earlier, sometimes it's a matter of self-care if you have a B and you're still trying to another area of your life.
It's better.
And sometimes, and I asked you this a little earlier, sometimes the feedback you receive from a B, if you focus on the learning of the skills, the feedback that you might receive in B is more valuable than
Great work.
Yeah.
just the grade.
That's good.
Dr. Coleman Reed, close your ears, but when I was in school, there was a phrase, B's get degrees. I believe that. And I do, I am very honest with my students. Yes, I want you to learn all the things and I want you to achieve and whatever, but I care about you more as a
Yep.
person. So yes, I truly would rather you have an 80, whatever, but you got more sleep that week, I just personally.
So I can take my hands off my ears. I support that. And the other thing I want to remind you again, this is a professional program. It is not like a program where you just take a test and you get a 80 or a 90. It is about the knowledge you're acquiring and the application of knowledge. And so you are learning. Even for those of you who have a BSW, that is the foundation. You are in an advanced generalist program, which requires a higher level of thinking and application. And so as I say, Dr. Berkowitz, B's and C's rule the world. That's because they often have the really good grasp of application. So you're in a professional training program and you're learning how to apply. You're not just passing a test. Give yourself grace. And to Dr. Berkowitz's point, there are so many things to balance in this life. And the biggest, most important thing is your personal health and your support system. Because it doesn't matter if you make a 4.0 and you fall apart and you lose connection with all those things that make you safe and feel worthwhile and comfortable in your life. And also, it doesn't reflect what we tell clients. We tell clients to have balance and take care of themselves. And so that's what we're going to encourage you to do. Even though I know you're still going to worry that I want an A.
And that, what Dr. Coleman Reed just said also reminded me of something I wanted to say to you all as well, which is, in addition to, it doesn't matter if you have a 99 or a 93 on a paper, for example, the bigger issue is not to take each class and treat it as, I have to do this paper, this test to get this grade in a class. You want to retain that information.
Yes.
You want to integrate it. At the graduate level especially, sometimes it's true at the undergrad level as well, but it's even more true at the graduate level. Don't treat each class like a silo. You are learning skills and you want to integrate everything you learn across your courses into your professional practice. And we also intentionally integrate the coursework into field internship and the field internship activities into your classes. So and I understand this is so tempting, but if you are in that mindset that I just need to get through this paper, get this grade, and then I can forget about that material, don't do it. Don't do it, because this is about integration, because as Dr. Coleman-Reed just mentioned, we are what's called an advanced generalist practice model, which means that in social work, you're being trained to know about and have relevant knowledge, values, skills, and ethics with a lot of different content areas and a lot of different client populations. So we are not a program. There are those out there. There are MSW programs where you have to pick a concentration. Children and families, for example, mental health, macro social work practice. You get a lot of that in a lot of different areas in our program. Advanced generalist focused MSWs are becoming increasingly common nationwide. And it evolved out of the idea that it's great and it's well and good if you take an MSW program and focus on mental health, for example. That was my focus in my MSW. But you still, when you get out there and practice, you can't practice in a silo in mental health without knowing about children and families, without knowing about policy. I was going to say macro, you read my mind. Exactly, policy. We do a little bit of everything. And particularly research has found that for practitioners in rural areas and other parts of the country, it's a little bit simplistic to say it this way, but you need to know a little bit about a lot.
Mhm.
So advanced generalist practice is the way of the world, in my opinion. It's the reality out there. Unfortunately, our society is not structured so that every community has mental health social workers and substance abuse social workers and school social workers. So we have to know across the curriculum. So thank you. So one other thing I want to mention, we've been talking about academic standards, but there's a whole other side of the house that you need to be aware of as well in any MSW program, including ours, which is while we have the academic grade and class-based standards, there are also professional standards. Standards about our professionalism, our ethics, our values that also come into play and are super critically important in making us into the most competent ethical social workers we can be. In your MSW handbook, both your field handbook and your general MSW handbook, you will see descriptions of professional standards, professional conduct, and ways in which academic and professional standards support each other. But I also want to be clear that although it's very rare, we do have situations where we have students who are earning 4.0s in their classes, but violate certain ethical standards. And I'm talking about things like confidentiality or inappropriate relations with a client, boundary issues, those kinds of things, and many more. That can also lead to dismissal from an MSW program. When you violate the code of ethics or you behave in unprofessional ways, it doesn't mean that because you have a 4.0, you are guaranteed to graduate. Now, I say all this, but we look for ways to support you. Embedded in the program is training on professionalism, on ethics, values, personal conduct. And if there is an issue that arises, we work with you on it. In some cases, we develop what we call a remediation plan to work with you on issues of concern. But it is our ultimate responsibility as faculty in a program like this one to make sure that we are gatekeeping the profession. What I mean by that is that we're turning out social workers who will not only help clients, who are again often incredibly vulnerable, but not harm clients. So it would be doing you a disservice as well as our program a disservice if we saw red flags and we turned a blind eye at that. So again, I don't want to sound harsh, but I want you to think about the whole social worker. We talk about the whole person in many instances, but the whole social worker is not just your people and your academic and your practice skill. It's those ethics, the regard for human value, dignity, and worth of every human being that we embody. So please keep in mind that we are evaluating you in the classroom and in the field on both of those kind of sides of the house. All right, before I move on, any other faculty input on anything we've talked about? All right, so we're almost to break. I do want to mention that I love that phrase that came up that Dr. Berkowitz mentioned and Dr. Coleman re-echoed, that bees get degrees. The reason I love that is not only what they said about self-care and about sometimes holding ourselves to unrealistic standards, but the other reason I love that is that image of little bumblebees with graduation caps flying around is amusing. Yes. Can you, that's your self-care tip for the day? No offense, Dr. Berkowitz, I know you already went through self-care, but if you get stressed, picture bees getting degrees, like a little bee flittering across stage with a cap and a gown too. Would just be ideal. All right. So we have talked a lot about the ways in which we want to support you, the ways of care, the support we can offer you. When we come back from break, Dr. Lee is going to talk to us about other support services offered by UNA. There are other supports on campus that she'll go through outside of the Department of Social Work that you are entitled to as a tuition paying student at UNA. So what we're going to do now, for those of you online, as well as those of you here, we're going to take a break and come back at 4:45. Dr. Lee will talk to us about campus support and resources. And then at 5:15, the last portion of the orientation will be the field directors, Ms. Wright and Ms. Owens, going over the field internship, the nature of the field internship, and all the regulations regarding that. So I'll see you all back at 4:45.
after on out. It's 23rd Street. Oh, you gotta tell me a landmark. Know how to name church like that. That's 20 that. That's 20 that. Oh, okay.
Hello, Dr. Dozier and Miss Owens. We can hear you.
What we been talking about then? Mercy.
Sorry, I just barely unmuted because I forget to do so.
Oh, just then. Oh,
Just for just so you'll be aware. Thank you.
All right, everyone. We're going to come back together. We're unmuted.
thank you.
Welcome back from break. I hope you practiced some self-care on break. You got a snack or a drink or something. So before I turn it over to Dr. Lee to talk about campus resources, I am going to share the screen here. I wanted to show you something very quickly. Okay, so this is the UNA homepage, of course. And when I mentioned Canvas, the learning platform that all of your classes are taught within, and Portal, where you can find information about your degree and your advisor and whatnot, from the UNA homepage, una.edu, you have these links up here to things like the library, but also you can click here to get to Portal, you can click here to get to Canvas. So if you're saying to yourself, where do I even access Canvas? You can always find it on the UNA homepage at the top, okay? All right, with that, I am going to turn it over to Dr. Lee to talk about resources.
Also with Canvas, you can download an app onto your phone. Be careful when using the app because it may not show you everything. So be sure if you're thinking, well, I've got the app, I can check it on my phone anytime. Great, but please also go back here, click on Canvas, and it's going to ask you to sign in. Oh. No, oh no, I accidentally deleted the whole thing. Please don't. So let me make sure that I'm sharing. Look at that. And we're back. Okay, so again, just make sure you, like Dr. Hodges said, make sure that you are checking it on a desktop or a laptop. Sometimes even your iPad will not show you everything. Okay, so just be aware. With that being said, that's also going to be some of the resources. First, I'm going to talk about academic resources that are available to you, and then non-academic. So how many of you have used Canvas before? Okay. If you haven't used Canvas or any type of learning management system, any of that platform, back in my day, we had like Angel or Blackboard.
Blackboard.
Like, yeah, so Canvas is much easier to use. I also had a bag of videos, and that was called distance learning. Okay, so I say that anything that you want to find, just like Dr. Hodges was saying, this right here is your search bar. Type it in there, you will get information. So let's say you just are not sure how to use Canvas. Well, first of all, guess what? You can't break it, okay? And you can't break this website. And I know some of y'all are like, really? You don't know any of IT. Trust me, I'm not an IT person either, okay? Better than I used to be. But look at this. Absolutely right here is immediately how do I get started with Canvas? So these are resources online to help you navigate through Canvas. If you're looking at accessibility in Canvas, if you're looking at just how to get started, there are also videos that you can watch. Now, why are we asking you to look at these resources? We're going to ask you as faculty to make videos and upload them. It's going to be very important for you to understand, well, how do I record and submit a video? Some of you are like, oh no. You're going to need a camera. Okay? So you're going to need some technology there at your house or wherever you're working from. Our library has laptops. If you are local and you're thinking, well, I'm not sure that I'm even going to be able to have, what if the power goes out? What if something happens? Our library has laptops, but they do have to stay in the library. Okay? There are rooms in the library that you can check out and use as study rooms. I've had students who need to do like a role play situation in the library to do it instead of doing it online because they were more comfortable with that. Okay? But make sure that you see here, you can see again a mobile device, troubleshooting, anything of that nature. As a UNA student, you also have Office 365. I don't know about y'all, but when I went to grad school, I went out and bought Office 365 thinking, well, I'm going to have it. You can actually download Office Microsoft onto up to 5 devices. So you'll see here, free Microsoft Office. Again, it'll walk you through how to install it. I have it on my phone. I have it on my laptop. I gave it to my mom because I had it. But she was my backup. You see what I'm saying? Like my computer died, then I knew she had all this, so I could go use it. Okay. So understand that that is available to you as a paying student. This is a resource. Don't go out and buy it. You've got to pay for your tuition. Okay. Another resource. Let's go back to the main website. Just as Dr. Hodges was saying, you got these beautiful things up here on this first UNA, this UNA.edu. Boom, takes you to this first page. My favorite one is Quick Link. Why? Because it's going to talk to you specifically about everything. Okay, so immediately student resources are here. IT help desk. Let's say you are having Canvas issues or you are having Office issues, you're having portal issues. I can't get into my email. Oh my goodness. Wow. IT. Okay, so you can go here. It talks to you about how to change your password or if you get locked out. All of that is there. Now, they're not 24 hours a day, but the resources are there. You can email, but it also has troubleshooting and frequently asked questions. Okay, so again, these are resources for you to have. Back to quick links, you'll also see that we have other resources available here under student resources. Going to the academic link. Let's start at student success. How many of you are like awesome writers? You're so excited to write 20-page papers, you just can't wait. Yeah, I'm not looking right now. Okay. Don't come and read into that either. So, how many of you feel like you know APA? Man, I know where to put those decimals. I know where to put that comma. I know how to cite things. Well, some of y'all do, because you've been in my class. Okay.
Yeah, we got a couple.
But others of y'all, I don't know about you, but it was like 10 years when I went back to school and we had a whole different APA. Well, here are the writing resources. You have writing resources available to you, including how to cite, how to utilize and reference the resources and do it correctly. And if you have questions, contact your faculty member and say, hey, is this wrong? Okay? Different types of other resources that are available. You'll see at the top here that it says online appointment. You do not have to be on campus. A lot of students think that they have to be here in the library at the Writing Center. No, absolutely not. These resources are online. So if you are having difficulty and you're thinking, man, got time tomorrow during my lunchtime, schedule it. You can schedule an appointment to get assistance. So writing assistance, we do have individuals here on campus, but again, we also have the online resources available. Frequently asked questions is going to talk about how do I make an appointment. You'll see here that you can schedule an appointment in person or again online. Distance learning students right here. Lots of students ask, when should I come? Go anytime that you want. Go when you are thinking, I just need help creating an idea. Or go when you think, I need them to look at an outline. I want them to look at a finished product. Just go and get the assistance. It's again free and available to you. Okay? Now, there may be this thing while you're in classes called research. Anybody ever heard of research?
The pause.
Now, let me tell you what I was told in grad school. I love the librarian in grad school. She said to me, if you need help researching, if it's not even in research class, but it's researching a policy or researching a program, come talk to me. And I thought, what is she going to help me with? Oh, she helps me find so many things. We are very lucky here that we have our own librarian. Isn't that cool? I think that's awesome. Like, she's available to other folks in the College of Arts and Sciences, but I will tell you now, you can schedule an appointment with her. I'm trying to say the library. Why can I not find the library? I may be on that. Oh, look at that. When I say, look at the bar. So immediately the library. You can go to ask the library if there's sometimes there's an article out there that I need that is not available either through our database and the librarian has been able to go and get it for me or find a PDF and send it to me to use. Our librarian is Jennifer Maddox. Okay. Helpful links here, again, how to get the information. If it's been a while since you've looked up journals, Ms. Maddox will help you to be able to do that. Okay? If you are wondering, how do I find people? You can go to this directory here, type in Maddox, and there she is, Jennifer Maddox. There's an email there. I'll just email her again. You can go back and schedule an appointment with her. This is where you reserve rooms if you want to stay in the library, study, or do those rooms or both. Okay. Other resources that are available to you include non-academic resources. Well, let me tell you one more resource. Let's go under safety and wellness. Disability support services. If you have a diagnosed disability, nobody is going to ask you if you need accommodation. Nobody is going to ask you if you have a diagnosis. It's against the law. They can't do it. Okay? It's your responsibility as a student to disclose that information to disability support services. We, as your faculty, cannot provide accommodations to you just because we go, oh, you have that diagnosis. Sure, we're helpful people and we want to help. It has to be approved through disability support services. They have their steps, they have documentation that's needed, and then they will determine between you and your provider, depending on what your diagnosis is, what accommodations you need. So if you are a new student, or even if you were receiving accommodations in your bachelor's and now you need room for graduate school, reach back out to them to make sure that they are continuing those accommodations, or you may need additional accommodations. You're going to be here for a year. Some of you are going to be here for 2 years. Some of you may life happen and you be here longer. Remember this resource because we know things happen and things change. For example, you may have a new diagnosis, or you may have something happen and situation changes where you need accommodation. This is the place to reach out to. This is the place to make sure that you have those academic supports in place. Another support that is available to you and covered through your tuition is health services. Okay. Now, health services is not exactly located on campus. It is approximately 2 blocks down from the fountain. You're going to see this building right here, and it's going to have a sign in front of it that says University Health Services. If you do not have health insurance, or you do have health insurance, it still may be cheaper as a student to go to health services because they're not going to charge you a copay. They're not going to charge you, sometimes they have to charge between $5 to $25 if there's lab work, but a lot of times it's cheaper than going to, if you know you need, if you've got a flu, the flu or cold, things like that, you just know, hey, I need a shot, I need some antibiotic. This is the place to go. And sometimes you can even walk out with medication, like walk out of the building with the treatment, with medication, $5 to $25, and you're out there. If you are not local, you can call and talk to them. They do prefer that you schedule an appointment. Now, if you are off campus, there will obviously be some restrictions to what they can do. Okay, but they can refer you to some place close to where you live or other resources, depending on what you need. Fast pay. The health department, health services and counseling services work together to provide fast-paced services for mental health needs. Okay, so we have on campus student counseling services available. Again, this is covered through your tuition. Okay, So this will talk to you about what they do and who they are. If you're feeling stressed, if you're feeling, I'm not sleeping well, things are going on with my family. I've never felt this way before and now I do. This is a great place to start to have a conversation with someone and determine if you do need a referral through health services to somebody else like with fast pace who can provide long-term potential services. Okay? All of this to say, don't be floundering out there by yourself. We've said it again and again. Talk to your faculty. Talk to your advisor. We know about these resources. Today, you're getting a whole lot of information. And you're focusing probably right now of, did I register for classes and who's going to keep my child? Okay? These things may come up later and you just forgot about it. That's perfectly fine. It's a lot of information. We will help remind you of those resources. Again, you can always come here and look as well. We have a university case manager on campus. If you ever are concerned about another student or you are concerned about yourself, you can reach out to, I've heard to call her by her name now, I'm sorry, by Miss Edens. This is Miss Edens here. She is the university case manager. Miss Darlene is right here. That's who you're going to probably talk to schedule the appointment to get to see Miss Edens. She can meet with you virtually by Teams or Zoom or in person here in this building. Now, what she does is she connects students to different resources. Sometimes she has resources in different communities in our community to help students that she can connect them with. One thing that she can do is we have what's called Feeding the Pride Pantry. Okay, so we have a food bank here available on campus for students. They can go fill out this form, check what they want, and then utilize the food pantry. We also have funding called Caring for the Pride. If something happens and you, heaven forbid, have a fire to happen, maybe at your house, and you lose your textbooks or you lose your laptop, contact Ms. Edens, talk to your faculty too. But Ms. Edens may be able to utilize this Caring for the Pride Fund. You can apply for funding, and for her, she'll work through her team and potentially be able to get you your textbooks, get you a new laptop. Okay? If you have issues with other things going on in life, contact her because, again, she may have that pot of money. Some students have difficulty getting to field. Maybe your tires blew up. Now you can't get to field. Well, that's a big deal in our program, right? You got to get to field. Contact Ms. Edens, have a conversation with her about what's happening. She may be able to utilize some of these funds. Okay? So just know that these resources, again, you've got your academic resources and then your non-academic resources. Things that are there and available to help you. Real quickly, I do want to talk about informal resources. Right now, we've talked about the university resources. Informal resources are things that you have in your circle. Think about your community. Think about your friends and think about your family. They're on this journey with you. Okay? For myself, my mother was there and she would say, I just wish there was something I could help you with. How many of you have heard that before from a family member? And you know what I would say? Can you cook dinner? And she would say, really? I'd say, please hamburger casserole. Because it was so good. It's like cheesy casserole, homemade, not hamburger helper. Okay? So good. And she said, that's all you want? And I said, yes. And the reason then is because I have 3 kids. And that took dinner off the situation of having to worry about who's cooking dinner or what are we having for dinner. She said, is there anything else I can do? I have a stack of papers for my dissertation. And I said, can you put those in alphabetical order? It's like, yes. Okay. So when people offer help, think about those people in your circle. Think about those informal resources who may just want to help you through your journey and help you to get where you want to get. And you're also letting them be a part and help with how they think. Okay, so think about that. Lots of folks just say no all the time, no all the time. My son used to call before he got home. Mommy, you need a color pop. Do y'all know what a color pop is? It's from Circle K and it's like that big old drink of 44 ounces. I'd say, yes, baby, bring me. My husband would say, what you need? I need a sandwich. Okay? So let those people be available to you, just like Dr. Berkowitz was saying, those informal resources. Figure out how they are going to work with you through this journey. Let them be a part of it with you. And then y'all can all come celebrate. At the graduation reception, bring your family. Here we go. Because it's a journey and a group. Okay? Any questions about the resources available on campus? Can y'all think of anything that I may have forgotten? I feel like maybe there's something. At the end of the day, don't be floundering alone. Ask for help. Ask somebody. Leah. Leah.
I was thinking about the career center.
Okay.
Oh, that's a good one.
I did.
But I think it's like that you do mock interviews and how somebody would view your resume and stuff like that. So like really you get it down like.
Yep.
Yeah. So work with UNA. There are employment opportunities at UNA. Work study, GA, graduate assistant, student jobs on campus. I saw down there were dining services and hiring. Career Center. They will do a mock interview, but they will also allow you to look. They'll look at your resume and see, you know, what's going on with it. If you haven't updated your resume in a while, that is something that you really should keep up to date. Like every 6 months, you need to update. Okay, sometimes sooner than that, something has changed. Also, your faculty advisor may look at it because I know for myself, I've done a lot of hiring within the department, within social work. And so sometimes we have experience in what we have seen as administrative in the administrative position. So absolutely. Thank you, Leah. Anything else?
Yeah, and just to reinforce, the career services are available to you even after graduation. Like as a graduate of this program or of the university, if in 10 years you need help with a resume or you need help, you know, searching for a job, you can go back to career services anytime.
You can also go online at like after college and talk about insurance, negotiating salary, any of those things. The other part of it is you will also be in the alumni club. And we do have a pretty, well, we have an active alumni group, social work and larger university. And they even do activities in different areas. Like I know Memphis has Tuscaloosa, Montgomery, Birmingham, and they have different groups. We also have an alumni group, a social work alumni group, and we have a conference every spring. And so you can utilize your UNA email forever, even after you graduate. So if you are thinking I need a professional email and I need to have somewhere that I can utilize forever, you will have this. Now, you may have to update your password and check those things, but you will have your UNA email forever. Okay? Any other things that y'all can think of?
The only thing that popped into my head is there are available online some health and wellness services as well around healthy living. And then, of course, if you're local, the student rec center is covered by your fees as well. As someone who obviously needs to go there, just wanted to throw that out there.
Well, obviously somebody who never. So, yeah, we do have a student rec center, available and open. I'm going, that's classy. They just stay class on Monday. I'm like, I know that, but I don't do it. My niece says, no way, lady. Any other questions or comments? Okay, go forth, do well.
All right, thank you, Dr. Lee. As we transition to the final section of this orientation, which is the overview of field, I do want to thank faculty and let you know that with the exception of the two field directors, of course, you don't need to stick around. So, although you're welcome to, you're more than welcome.
What you had, Trina?
All right.
I know, they always run out on our section, so.
Not running, just walking briskly.
Here you guys might have some questions about field. Is that what I'm understanding? This is usually definitely a topic that a lot of students are most anxious about and most unsure about. So myself and Ms. Owens are here to hopefully clear up some confusion and answer any questions that you might have. We do have some prepared slides to go through some of the things that we feel like are topics that come up frequently and things that you guys need to know. But we do know that you guys are going to have questions as well. So I would say maybe we'll go through the slides and then take questions at the end. But if you have a question that's relevant to the topic that we're talking about at that time, go ahead and feel free to chime in and ask. Yes.
You've mentioned before, are you also intending to send the slides out?
Yes, we do send the slides out post orientation. So you will have a copy of these. So don't feel like you have to write everything down that are on these slides. But hopefully we will answer a lot of your questions as we go through them. So we will get started. And for those of you who are online, there is a chat feature in Teams. So feel free to put your question in the chat, or when we get to the end where we're asking questions, feel free to unmute yourself and ask your question then. So we first want to start, we've already introduced ourselves once, but just to kind of remind you, I'm Kimberly Wright, and I am the director at Field for the MSW Advanced Standing Students.
And I'm Trenda Owens, and I'm the field director for the 2-year MSW program.
That is very important for you guys to know. First of all, which program you're in, and then who your field director is, because that is the person that you will maintain contact with for anything field related as you move forward. And it's important to understand that while a lot of things we operate similarly or have similar forms and there are a lot of things that are different for 2-year students versus 1-year students. So it's very important to make sure that you're communicating with the correct person first and foremost. And then also, the person sitting beside you might not be in the same program as you. They might be a 2-year student, you might be an advanced student. So be careful sharing information, making sure that you are getting the correct information for which program you're in. So you'll see on this slide, there are a number of field liaisons and field instructors listed, and these are all individuals. A couple of them, like Dr. Bailey and Ms. Kelly, are full-time faculty members for the social work department, and then they also instruct some field education classes. But the rest of these individuals are all part-time or adjunct employees with the social work department. So that just means that they are, I think all of them are employed in the community in social work positions, whether it be locally or not. And they are part-time teaching some courses for the university. So that is what you see listed below. And you will be taking many courses in field, which means you will be having several different instructors in field. So at any point during your MSW program, you might be working with any of these individuals listed below. So just, kind of keep that in mind. Hopefully you'll have a chance to meet them as we go forward.
So this slide covers the MSW 2-year program. And it talks about how field runs concurrent with coursework for the entirety of the program. So basically, all that is saying is that while you're in field, you're going to be taking, you're going to be doing field with your coursework, except for your first semester, you'll be doing what's called field seminar with your coursework. So like you start in August, you'll be taking a field seminar class along with your coursework. So you will not start your actual intern until January. Okay? You will not start your actual intern until January. You'll be in what's called a field seminar in August. You'll take a field seminar class along with your other coursework. Students enrolled in the 2-year MSW program will not begin field placement agency until spring 2026. You will complete your first 2 sessions of field through online activities, which is 5:30 and 5:31. You will locate and secure your field placement with approval from field faculty. So from August until December, you'll be taking a field seminar course, which is 5:30, 5:31. During that time, I want to suggest, sorry, for whatever reason, I'm losing my voice. During that time, I just want to suggest that you go ahead and start looking. You can kind of look lightly, but start looking for your field placement. Start thinking about it. Maybe you already have decided like what you want to do. Maybe it's something clinical, maybe it's something medical, maybe it's law enforcement, maybe it's working with the homeless. I don't know. But kind of start thinking about what you want to do and get ideas in your head. I think word of mouth is going to be your biggest thing. Network with people. Start talking. If you work a job, start thinking about, how am I going to make this work? If you realize that if you work an 8 to 5 and you need an internship, like in the evening, then start talking to people about, placements in the evening or on weekends, instead of waiting until the last minute. So you have all this time from August until December, to start lining up your placement for January. 950 hours over the course of 8-week session. And so this is how the schedule looks. That first year, session 1, as you take SW 530, in that field seminar course, you'll earn 100 hours of like field work from that field seminar course. And it's a course, but it involves different activities. Then you'll take 531, you'll earn 100 hours in that course as well. 532, that's where you'll start your first internship. This will begin your first internship. And at that time, you'll earn, in that 8-week period, you'll earn 125 hours. And you'll earn that from doing 16 hours a week. 16 hours a week. And that can look, however, whether it's 2 8-hour days, or, it could be, 4-hour days. It's just however, the agency, whatever that agency agrees with, and you all work it out. Whatever, it looks like. Session 4, 533, 125 hours. So that's your first year, what is called the generalist practice or your foundation year. That's where you're learning the basics. Because in the 2-year program, you don't have a background in social work. So you're learning the basics, just say of assessments and engagement, interventions, and you're getting your feet wet of what social work is all about. You're learning, you'll hear us talk about the competencies and the code of ethics. You're learning all of that. In your internship, you'll be shadowing other people, sitting in on sessions. You might be, just depending on what you're doing, you might be riding along with some others, going on visits with some others. And at that point, at the end of that, then you'll go into your advanced generalist year, which is that second year. And at that time, you'll begin your 600 level classes. And again, each 8 weeks you're doing 125 hours, again, which is 16 hours a week. However you want to do it, 2 8-hour days, 4 hours, however you choose to do that. Students are expected to earn a minimum of 16 hours per week, typical schedule, flexible based on student agency needs. So you always want to get with that agency or whatever that agency, you and that agency agree upon. Whatever hours, however that schedule works out. But you need to work at least a minimum of 16 hours a week. Say, for instance, you might get sick or something during that week. You always want to notify that agency supervisor first, that you're sick. And then you want to notify your field instructor. So say, for instance, you're taking 530. You have a field instructor, and that's going to be your point of contact. Just say, for instance, you're having some issues at your field agency. First, you're talking to the supervisor there, whoever is your agency supervisor. But say, there's an issue maybe with your field supervisor. Your field instructor is the one that you need to talk to about that issue. But say that you're sick, you talk to the supervisor there at the agency, you want to let your field instructor know that you've missed it. That you've already talked to, your supervisor that, hey, you were sick, hospitalized, whatever the case was. Now you need to talk to your field instructor about, what is the plan? How do you plan on making up, that 8 hours or that 4 hours that you missed? You need to come up with a plan of how you're gonna make up those hours. And so if you agree that you're gonna make it up that next week, then that's what you need to do. And your instructor is going to be looking for you to make up those 8 hours. I mean, however many hours it was, she's gonna be looking for you to make those hours up. We have a log that you keep up with and you turn in every week. And so on that log, they're gonna be looking for those hours that you missed. Okay, so everything where we log all your hours, and we have a whole software, we'll get into that. But I just want to make it known that, when you miss or any issues, you need to talk with that supervisor at that agency. And then you have your field instructor that you also need to be talking to and communicating. Any questions?
So Ms. Owens talked to you a little bit about what the 2-year program overview is. Now I'm going to be talking to those of you who are in the advanced standing program. And the difference in the two programs is that those of you in the advanced standing program have your BSW. You have graduated with a bachelor's in social work. So you have already done an internship somewhere, right? So you have a little bit of experience with internships. You have already received basically the education that our 2-year students are getting in that first year. You got that through your BSW program, right? So that's the difference. We're coming in already having some experience in those areas. So that's why we are going to hit the ground running. Whereas our 2-year students have a semester to kind of learn those foundational things and get their feet on the ground, right? And then start internship. Our advanced standing students, you have that experience already. So we're going to hit the ground pretty quickly. So MSW Advanced Practice Field Education is a specialized field program for students in the advanced standing MSW program. Now, internship, as Ms. Owens said, does run concurrent with your coursework. So that just means you're going to be in your internship the entire time that you're in the program. From the first day of class to the end of class, you're going to be in your internship. And the benefit of that is that as you're learning these skills in the classroom, you have a chance to practice that immediately in your internship. So it really helps with your learning because you're able to practice those skills immediately. It also helps because you're not in internship full time. In your BSW, a lot of you you were in your internship 32 hours per week. That's a lot of time, right? So in your MSW, you're going to be in your internship about 16 hours per week. So if you are an advanced standing student, a 1-year student, this is going to be divided into 4 8-week sessions. Dr. Hodges talked earlier about how we run in 8-week sessions. So your internship will be the same. For each of those 8-week sessions, you're going to be expected to earn 125 hours. So a lot of students ask, well, can I earn extra hours early and be done early? Sadly, no. While that sounds great in theory, our program is set up to be concurrent with your academic learning. So if you get all your hours done in your first 8 weeks, then how are you having an opportunity to practice those skills you're learning your last 8 weeks? So the answer to that is no. You need to earn 125 hours each 8-week session. Now, if you want to go longer than that, awesome. If you want to earn extra hours, that's great. But they just can't carry over. Does that make sense? So a typical schedule, minimum of 16 hours per week, flexible based on student agency needs. So as Ms. Owens said, same thing for the advanced standing students. You can do that in 2 8-hour days, 4 4-hour days, whatever you guys work out with your agency supervisor, will be fine. But if you are not earning at least 16 hours per week, you're going to come up short for that 125 for the 8 weeks. So that's why I said a minimum of 16 hours. There's a little bit of flexibility within each 8 weeks. Now, we don't want you to earn 40 hours per week and be done in a few weeks. But if you need to work a few extra hours one week because the next week you have some doctor's appointments, there's a little flexibility there. But we just don't want you to work too far ahead or get too far behind. Does that make sense? So, and it's always important to communicate with your supervisor. All MSW students complete an advanced field practicum. So that means if you are an advanced standing student, we don't want your internship to look exactly the same as your BSW internship. So you need to be having opportunities to practice at an advanced level. So if you are completing your internship at the exact same place as your BSW internship, that's not really ideal, but it's possible if you are given different tasks. Right? Does that make sense? So we're going to be looking at those tasks and making sure that you have opportunities to practice at an advanced level. The educational focus in the advanced practicum is in providing students with opportunities to demonstrate the core competencies at the advanced level of social work practice. The clinical practicum is advanced, reflecting the specialized knowledge, skills, and values of an advanced practitioner. And advanced MSW field placements provide a mix of generalist and clinical activity with the emphasis on the student developing therapeutic styles of clients while acquiring expertise within the specialization offered by your agency. So we're going to go into a whole lot more detail as we go along, but this is just kind of your first overview. And this does remind me, I had a conversation with someone else about the registration and course offerings. So I just quickly wanted to note, I think this is going to pertain more to our advanced standing students in the room. So when you went to register, hopefully a lot of you have already registered, you probably noticed, so for field, let's just say there's 630, 631, 632, 603. Take 4 sections of field. Did you notice when you registered, say for 630, that there was a 630 IO1, 630 IO2, 630 IO3? Like, did you notice that? But you could choose one of a few sections. Is everybody kind of following me so far? Because this is kind of confusing. There is a 630 IO5 that you do not need to register for, because there was a question, I think, from that. And that is because that is for 2-year students going into their second year of the program. So I just want to kind of throw that out there. I don't know if it'll allow you to. How does that work?
I think it will allow you. We are trying to work on a system whereby it would log.
Yeah, so we'll try, I mean, we'll look at it and try to catch anyone who ends up in that class. But I didn't even think about it until it was mentioned to me today. So you can register for any section except for if you ever see an IO5 in field and you're a 1-year student, don't register for that one. That one is specifically created for 2-year students who are going into their second year of the program. So they're going from 530 field classes to 630. And I know that's really complicated. I'm trying to say it in the least confusing way, but the least confusing way I know to say it is if you are a 1-year advanced standing student, do not register for an IO5 class in field. Pick any other ones you want, just not that one. And again, we're going to check it, so don't stress too much about it. If we see you're in the wrong section, we'll move you, but that came up a minute ago, so I just wanted to bring that up. Okay. Next, we're going to talk a little bit about upcoming due dates. If you are a 1-year advanced standing student, you have gotten some emails from me with different forms that need to be completed to have approval to start field. So you've probably already seen this. If you're a 2-year student, your forms aren't due until December because you're not going to be starting field until January. So these are due dates that are coming up. I believe you have seen all of these forms. The only thing you maybe have not seen is the very first one, which is Sonia, which is our field management software that we use. And we do have a slide here in a little bit that will talk more about that. So I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail in this slide, but it is a software that you purchase, just like you would purchase a book for the UNA bookstore. You'll purchase this software, and that needs to be done if you're an advanced standing student by August the 1st. And the reason for that is because all of these other forms are going to go into that program. So that one is earlier than the rest. The next due dates will be August the 8th if you are a one-year advanced standing student. So do these form names look familiar to most of you? Okay, so everybody's kind of remembering the email in these forms. So the MSW confirmation of field placement. If you are doing your internship or you're requesting to do your internship at your current place of employment, you will do the extra form, which is employer-based field placement proposal. Again, that one is only if you intend to do your field placement at your current place of employment. Proof of liability insurance is due by August the 8th. Acknowledgement of risk in field, and then the confidentiality form. So if you're an advanced standing one-year student, all of those forms are due by August 8th. And then again, if you're a two-year student, those are not due till December 22nd. And Ms. Owens, I'm sure, will send all that information out to you as that due date approaches. Are there any questions about those forms before or the due date? Before we move forward?
With Sonia and the insurance, those cover a year, correct?
Yeah, so that's a good question. If you are a recent BSW graduate, whether it be our program or any program, and you used Sonia as a BSW student, then Sonia is good for 1 year. So you will not need to purchase that right now if you just graduated with your BSW. If you just graduated with your BSW and you had liability insurance as a BSW student, you probably have another 6 months of coverage left. So you should be able to look that policy up, and there will be an expiration date, and you should be able to fill out this form. But just know that come January, you're probably going to need to renew it at that time. But we keep up with those due dates. So yeah, if you're a recent graduate, both of those usually cover a year. So you should still be good. Thank you for bringing that point up, Helen. Any other questions about this slide before we move forward? One thing I will mention is that sometimes you don't have your placement lined up by August 8th, or you're missing a form, or your supervisor's out of the office and you can't get a signature. That's where that communication just really comes in. Just reach out to myself or Ms. Owens and just communicate that with us. If we know, oh, it's going to be next week, you know, when you have that, then we'll expect that. We won't just be thinking what happened, you know.
Excuse me.
Yes.
I have a quick question. The slide is still on levels of internship. I don't see the due dates. I don't know if my screen is frozen. Okay, there. Thank you.
I think one screen presentation mode and one screen this mode, so they're seeing.
Thank you. Thanks, technology, guys. Okay, thank you. I'm so sorry about that. All right, hopefully you guys are seeing what we're seeing now. And again, this will be emailed to you, so you will have access to these. Criteria for selecting field settings. Hopefully you guys, if you're an advanced standing student, have already began looking and have already started this process. And then if you're a two-year student, it's important to start thinking about this now as well. But identification and selection of a field practicum site is the student's responsibility. And this is common amongst graduate programs because you might not be if you're here local. So we might not be as familiar with the agencies in your area. And you guys will be the experts on your community resources better than we are. So it is your responsibility to seek out practicum sites and to contact that agency, to begin having those conversations, to interview with them. Once you have done that and you have found a placement that you feel will best meet your needs and be the best learning experience, you then communicate with the field director, the appropriate field director, and we check and make sure that that's an appropriate placement. That's going to meet the university and department's criteria, and that we feel is a good match for you as well. And we do that a couple different ways. One is through that paperwork that you submit to us, because on that paperwork, if you've looked at it, you've seen that you need to demonstrate that you're going to be able to master all the competencies, right? I'm sure y'all have seen that, where you have to say, okay, this is what I'm going to do at my agency to master this competency. So we're going to look at that paperwork. And then if you're an advanced standing student, we're going to have a conference as well with you and with your field supervisor prior to your semester starting. We'll be doing that virtually, and we'll get to that here in just a little bit. The field setting must have a social service program with standards and philosophy acceptable to the community, the profession, and the Department of Social Work. The field setting should provide the opportunity for students to engage in generalist advanced practice experiences. So again, you need to make sure that you're going to be able to practice if you're a one-year student at the advanced generalist level. If you're a two-year student, obviously your first year is generalist, your second is advanced. The field setting should provide the opportunity for students to engage. So experiences with individuals, groups, organizations, and community. So you really need to be able to have a wide range of experiences. The administrator and the staff of the agency should be cognizant and understanding of sexual education and an agreement with the department's mission and goals. The agency must be willing to commit a competent staff person as field setting supervisor. So you need someone at that agency who is willing to provide supervision for you. And that individual, based on CSWE's requirements, must have an MSW and 2 years of postgraduate work experience. Doesn't have to be at that agency, but 2 years post MSW experience. So that is the criteria. And then your supervisor needs to be willing to commit at least an hour per week of supervision. That can be done in person, it can be done virtually, because sometimes I know agencies, you might not be in the same office with your supervisor, might not be in the same state with your supervisor. So that can be done virtually. Any questions about that? If you find a placement, or let's say you're probably more common that you're employed at an agency and there's not an individual there who is able to provide your supervision. This comes up from time to time. Obviously, we encourage you to find a placement where there is supervision available. But if that ever happens, you can begin to consider, is there a board member that is very involved and engaged with that agency who might be willing to do your supervision? We can look out of the box sometimes, but you need to reach out to us if that is you. So don't just totally rule it out without talking to us first.
Just to kind of go back to that, that criteria is important. And one of the biggest resources that you all have is the student handbook and your field manual. Please read. I know, you get these manuals and just kind of have them. But I really want to encourage you to read them and read the criteria. Having that MSW post 2 years experience, that's real important. Sometimes students will find a placement and that person will have, a background of LPC, APC, I don't know, political science, MA, and, or doctorate in something, but it's not social. And it's not to say they're not an expert in whatever, but it has to be social. And so, I just encourage you. It's not going to be accepted. Unless we can find someone, that's in MSW or LICSW, somebody that can supervise, at their placement. So just know that right off when you're looking for a replacement, find someone that's willing to supervise you that has the credentials. And make sure that once you locate it, that you contact Ms. Wright or myself, before you go through all this process and then find out that, you know, it's not an acceptable agency. Then you wasted time and you might get a crunch period where like you've invested in this one place, but now you find out that it's not an acceptable place.
Yeah, and that would be a really good question to ask on that first phone call when you're calling an agency to see if, you know, you could potentially do an internship there. You know, is there someone, you know, employed here with an MSW who is willing and able to provide my supervision? You know, don't waste your time. You know, don't waste their time either.
That completes my field placement at my current agency. And we, Ms. Wright basically covered that. Let me say this though, with this, your agency has to be, you know, you may go and find a CSWE manual somewhere that talks about this, but the bottom line is your agency has to be willing to do this. Because it's time consuming. And so,
It may take away from your job responsibilities, so they have to be willing to agree to.
yes.
And there are a couple of places that do not. It is uncommon. Most places, most employers will allow you to complete your internship at your place of employment, just in my experience. But for instance, if you're employed at an Alabama DHR, they will not. It is a state policy that they will not allow you to do your internship at your agency. I've had a couple of other agencies who do not allow it, but for the most part, we've been able to work it out. But there are some, so it's a question. It's not a definite. It's always asked.
And another thing that comes up, and it's more so maybe with hospitals, contracts or affiliation. Those things take time. Because there's a lot of back and forth. We have to send it to our lawyer here, which then it gets into like wording. And so if you know that you want to go into like medical social work, you want to do your internship at a hospital, just allow enough time for the paperwork so that, you know, we can check all boxes, and if we have to go back and forth, that we have enough time to do all. So, and it could be other agencies as well. No hospital.
Yeah, hospitals, schools usually require a contract, most of them will. Yeah, hospitals are definite. You're not going to step foot in a hospital without a contract in place. They're also going to require certain immunizations, fingerprints, you know, things like that take time. So again, that's where you don't want to wait till the last minute.
Those who are thinking about maybe even with the VA,
Yes,
that is definitely a long process.
VA and then state agencies as well, and EHR, children's rehab, places like that. Also, there's additional criteria that they require on top of what the university requires.
So, just thinking, for contracts like that, typically the hospitals and such will do a contract with the university for a certain period of time. Do you have I know we have the list of other things. But is that something standing, like how long do you typically do your contract for? Even though I may need to go do X, Y, and Z, I can know UNA ordinance, UAB or something like that.
Yeah, that's a good
How long do
question.
you do?
The contracts are usually, I think, for 5 years. So it's quite possible if it's a local, hospital, we already have a contract in place. But again, we've had students in Hawaii and California and New York. And so, if you're asking to do an internship somewhere like that, it's probably
You're not
we don't
Yeah.
have it in place.
Just wondering,
So-
if it's available to know. I'm searching, I could be like, okay, I know,
Yeah.
UNA. And I just have to see the places.
So that's a
But
really
yeah,
good,
sure.
yeah, that's a really good question. I don't necessarily have a list of who we have contracts with, but we do have that placement database. Did I send that out? I think I sent that. Okay, good. So if it's on that placement database, then we have used them in the last 5 years.
Gotcha.
And so most likely there's going to be an active contract. I can't guarantee it, but most likely there's going to already be a contract in place with but some of these that we're talking about, like hospitals, they also want a contract for that particular student. So it can be very different. So it's just questions to ask when you go for an interview, like, are there any requirements, or is there anything you need me to work on? Is there anything you need from the university? Like, you just have to be proactive to ask these questions. They're going to let you know, but the sooner you can ask and get this information, the quicker we can get the ball rolling. Oh, that's a great point. Yeah. So once you do get access to Sonia, there is, and I'm going to send you guys a video on like a tutorial on how to navigate Sonia once you make your purchase. And, but yes, there is like a tab and it will show, but it's only going to show the agencies that have been entered into Sonia. We've only been using Sonia for just a couple of years now. So, but it will show like a list of all the agencies who have been like entered into that database. So that would be helpful as well. Thank you.
My placement be arranged for evening and weekend hours. There are some agencies that offer the availability to earn hours in the evenings or weekends. So really, this is one thing you have to, when you're checking around, you just have to ask. When you're looking for a placement, I always say you really have to think out the box. Sometimes we think about this hospitals, DHR, but when you're looking for, if you work at 8 to 5, and you need something evenings or weekends, I always say, kind of think about places who do groups. Because when you think about groups, then you're thinking about, okay, they're going to have to cater to the working class or to children who get out of school. And so they're going to have to do groups in the afternoon sessions when children get out of school or when people get off work, and then Saturday groups. I actually used to work at an agency that had Saturday groups and evening groups. And so, and that's for those who are maybe thinking about clinical settings. But then, there are hospitals, if you're looking for evening or weekends, or maybe, jail.
Domestic violence shelters.
Exactly.
Who serves people.
Exactly, maybe something overnight, crisis centers or crisis lines. You just really have to be creative, get online, Google, type in keywords in Google. But yes, it's that's open, that's, you know, whatever agency is out there, if it's available, yes, you can do it. If you're working full-time, you should begin planning well in advance to balance your work, class, and personal commitments. So I will say, you know, for 2 year, you have, you know, from now until, you know, December. Take advantage of this time that you have. I think, you know, networking is huge. Talk to as many people as you can talk to. Go out, meet as many people as you can meet, and, you know, tell them your situation. You know, talk to your friends that are in social work, co-workers, tell them what you're looking for. You know, tell them to be on the lookout. But just don't wait till the last minute. As you saw, paperwork is due December 2nd. This is for 2 years. Classes start, or internship starts the week of January 5th. So don't let it sneak up on you. You know that. So now it's time to, you know, just kind of start looking around, glancing around, making phone calls.
Depending on the area you're in, it can be real competitive as well. I mean, there are other universities that have MSW programs, you know, so it's not, you're not just competing with those, you know, in your cohort, you're competing with other universities depending on where you're located, and your agency may only take one intern, you know, a semester. So yeah, you don't want to wait till the last minute.
Funding, student insurance, yes, you do. And this is one I want to encourage you. I have a link, and I will try to, by the time we send this to you, I will add a link on here. But you can also get on here and look up student social work insurance. At one time, the NASW offered student insurance, but right now they are not offering insurance. But you will have to have insurance when you start your internship. There are several different companies that offer it. It's just like, you know, how you look around for car insurance and try to find the best. I looked around and found some pretty good insurance. It's $35 for a year. And I meant to add it on here. And it does fall under this coverage area here. And it's the same cost as the NASW. I think NASW was 37. This is 35. I think it's ABC something. But I will add the link on here. But you don't have to choose it.
Yeah, and if you're an advanced standing student, hopefully you've already joined the group meet. If you haven't, there will be a slide with the code to join. And I did post, because that's when the NASW, for some reason, quit temporarily. I think they're just maybe transitioning. So I did post that link to the one that Ms. Owens is talking about. So you should be able to go there and get that insurance.
And I posted it in the 2 year, and I know some of my students have already, in the field have used that link and have purchased that insurance.
I think we have a question.
I'm trying to, about a week ago, like,
The one.
yes. And I just, okay, invoice email. I'm like, not leaving them invoice email.
So that it sent you a policy?
Yeah, I just emailed them today, but okay, yeah, so maybe within like 20 or 48 hours, you sent me like the verification, double check the date. Mine had typos in it, that it wasn't for a year, it said it ended in March, and I had to email back, and they were like, oh, we're so sorry. it made me think they just kind of refill out the form, you know?
Yeah.
But they were responsive.
So yeah, the things you're gonna need a policy number because there's a form to fill out with that policy number and an expiration date. It should be for a year. So just make sure, yeah, check
Yeah,
it.
double check it. Mine was not.
It's not super encouraging.
Are these forms things that would turn in like on campus or do we just email those to you guys?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So a lot of you have already emailed a lot of your forms, if not all of your forms. And that's awesome. That's what I asked you to do, and you're on top of it. If you have not, yeah, the due date is listed on the slides, and so you need to have it to me by then. But once you do get access to Sonia, I'm going to have you go and upload it. And I'm going to give you the directions on how to do that once you get access to Sonia, that you can upload it directly into Sonia. So like your liability insurance, once you get that, you can just, or if you update it from what you already have, you can just upload it directly into Sonia. That way I have access to it, you have access to it, and your field supervisor will have access to that as well. That's right.
And for me, I printed all paperwork at one time. One piece here, one piece there. And please type it out. No screenshots, but, please type it all out. Upload it instead. And this is just a bag of, you cannot start your internship until you have insurance.
Okay, so this slide is about Sonia, which we've mentioned several times, but I'm sure you guys probably have questions about it. So Sonia is a field management software that we began using a couple of years ago. And it is a great tool because it provides access to field information. We'll all be able to share information. So myself, you as the student, your field supervisor, it is one place where all your field information is stored, and all of those individuals who are involved with your field internship will have access to it. It can be purchased through the UNA bookstore. You can purchase it on campus if you would like to visit the bookstore, but it can also be purchased online the exact same way that you purchase your books. So has anyone gone on to look at how to purchase books? Some have, some haven't. You can purchase your books. If y'all remember when Dr. Lee was up here showing you kind of how to navigate the different tabs through the UNA website, it's on that quick links. One of the drop downs was UNA bookstore. You click on it, you can hit a button that says purchase a textbook. All it's going to ask you for is your course number. So you can enter, if you're a 2-year student, you can enter social work 530. If you're a 1-year student, you can enter social work 630, and it's going to pop up what your required text is for that course. Same thing you're going to do for your other courses too, by the way. That's how you purchase your books. You don't have a book per field, but you do purchase this. It is much less expensive than a book. So it's $37, and that's for the whole year. You don't purchase it every 8 weeks. You purchase it one time, it's good for the whole year. Now, if you're a 2-year student, sadly, you're going to have to purchase it again at some point because you're going to be in the program for 2 years. Do you have them purchase that before they start building December, or do they purchase it at the beginning?
So do not purchase it right now.
So there you go. If you're a 1-year student, you do need to purchase it right now. And again, that due date was on here. So if you see bolded, because this always confuses everyone, you will not be provided with anything at the time of your purchase. You're going to go onto the UNA bookstore link. You're going to purchase it, and it's going to say, here's your receipt. And it's going to say it's going to ship you or email you something. You're not getting anything. So hopefully you guys hear that. You are not getting anything from them. There is no textbook for them to send you, right? You're purchasing a software. You will get that information from myself if you're a 1-year student, or from Ms. Owens if you're a 2-year student. So you have that due date. That day you need to purchase this file. you will, and it's in those instructions, if we go back to the prior slides, it is right here, Sonia proof of insurance. It says advanced standing due date, August 1st, email verification of purchase to field rep. So you'll get an email that verifying your purchase. Just forward that on to me. You know, I purchased my Sonia field management software. And once you do that, I will send you your login information. You're not going to get anything from the bookstore except for that verification you've made your purchase. You're going to email that to me, and I'm going to send you what you need to get into stuff. You guys have any questions about that?
For you 2 year, I'm saving you time because I don't want you to, have all that extra time that runs out. So that's why we're not running towards.
Yeah, you can, if they send you an email, you can just forward that email with your name, of course, on it, so if it's going to run. Or you can screenshot it and send it, that's fine. If you have not already sent me forms to my email, like your other forms that are required, you can just, at this point, you can wait and upload it directly into Sonia. It's up to you. If you've already sent it, that's awesome, because I can go ahead and review it and give your approvals. So once you purchase the software, your name's going to be added to the list of students who have purchased it because you're not getting your login until you purchased it. And you can't start field until you have the software. Sequence of events. Students must, again, send the proof of purchase. The software is $37. Again, that's annually. You will not purchase that every 8 weeks. You're just going to purchase it once if you're a 1 year student. And again, you'll have to do it twice if you're a 2 year student. But that fee is pretty nominal when you compare it to the price of the textbook. So. Fingerprints. Fingerprints is not something that the university currently requires for internship. So it is not something that we're going to require of you. However, your agency may require this of you. It depends where you're going. If you're going to a DHR and you're not employed there, if you're going to a hospital, if you're going to school, like all of those type places are going to request and require fingerprints of you. So again, that's why it's so important to get on this in the beginning, because those things take time. If you have an agency who requires fingerprints of you, they may be willing to do it for you. For instance, if you're going to DHR, they're going to schedule it for you. They're going to do it for you. They're not going to charge you anything. If you're going to a school, you're probably going to have to schedule it to yourself. You're going to have to pay for it yourself, and then you're going to have to get it to them, right? So it depends on your agency. You can ask the question, do you require fingerprints? Do you require a background check? Or they might just tell you. If they require for you to do that on your own, there is a link down here that you can click on, and it will take you to a provider who does fingerprints. It's not just local, although they do have a local place that does them. The closest place to UNA is Central, or local. I'm sure you've heard of Central, called like the Central Mail Stop. That's the closest one. But I think that there is one across the river. There's one in Huntsville. There's kind of some throughout. This will give you, you can put in your zip code, and it's going to pull up like what's closest to you. There is some paperwork you complete. You submit it ahead of time. You schedule an appointment through this. You go to the place, you do your fingerprints, and you pay for it all online, and they mail you your results. Those of you who had to do it before, do you remember the fee? It was like 60 something or less, 50 something. Yeah, I'm thinking 50 something dollars. Again, this is not a requirement of the university, but if replacement requires it, this is just a resource that you can use if you need it. But do not wait till the last minute if your placement does require it, because it can take a few weeks to get yours. Okay. If you're an advanced standing student, we will have a pre-placement conference. That will be a meeting that you will schedule through this link. Again, you'll get a copy of these slides. You can just click on the link. to schedule your conference. The dates available are the 18th, 19th, and 20th of August. And then again, anytime between 9 and 12 and 1 to 4. These will be 30-minute appointments. And it will be with you and your field supervisor. So it will be your responsibility to get your field supervisor, ask them their schedule, get a date on the calendar. I'll send you the link. It'll be a virtual meeting, and we'll all three sit down together in this virtual meeting and just talk about placement and what that looks like, the requirements, answer any questions. So this is for advanced standing students, and you will sign up through the link. But again, it'll be your responsibility to invite your field supervisor and make sure that they can be there at that time.
Is the link when you send the meeting, like, hey, it'll be sent to us and we can send them the link. Is it the team?
It is 13.
Okay. We work for an agency, Teams is not available for use, like we can't use that due to HIPAA. So
Can you use it on your, do you have like a personal laptop?
I do,
Right?
but our field supervisor does not. She would be doing it from work. Would there be an alternative where like I could create a good compliant Zoom link and send it to you? I don't know. Well, we might have to take up, and that was just, we ran into that situation recently, just so you know. If you have a HIPAA compliant place, they may not be able to.
Interesting. I have not had that come up, but just email me and we can talk about it. But that actually does remind me that some places you can't access Sonia, and hospitals are one of them. For some reason, hospitals cannot log in. There's like a block. There's like a.
Oh, there's a lot of blocks.
There is a firewall and they can't get anything in Sonia. So sometimes that comes up, and if it ever does, then you just reach out to myself or Miss Owens and we'll work around it. Sometimes we use their personal email versus their work email. Like we try to work around it the best we can. We've had to get creative a couple of times, but that has come up, and it's usually a hospital. It's usually a hospital. Okay, so next, and y'all were nearing the end, so hopefully we're answering a lot of your questions though as we go. When do I report to my field agency? If you're an advanced standing student, again, we're hitting the ground running, first day of class. Now, we say August 20th, but all of your field schedules are going to look different, right? Because maybe you're going 2 days a week, maybe you're going 4 days a week. So that doesn't mean you have to necessarily report to your field agency on August 20th, but just know that's the first week of field placement. So it might be the 21st that you report to your agency, but we start field first day of class, August. Does that make sense?
Same for like, 2-year students, classes start January 7th, but I put in the 5th because that's the first, that's that Monday. And so I want to be able to give you a full week because, whether you start that Wednesday or that Monday, you're still responsible for getting 16 hours a week in. So I'd rather give you that whole week so you can get that 16 hours in rather than trying to push it in 3 days. And so again, however you do it, work your schedule out. But just the week of the 5th, whenever you work it, is when field will start.
And that's a really good point. It's important that you manage your field hours. If you are going 16 hours per week, but the university is closed 1 week because of either, let's say, the weather or a holiday, we do get those. You have to manage your time and know that at the end of the 8 weeks, you have 125 hours. If that means that a couple of weeks you need to do 20 hours versus 16, then, but it's up to you to make sure you're keeping track of your time so that at the end of that 8-week session, you have 125 hours. Keep that in mind.
Okay, so the various documents that we use in field are weekly logs. So whether it's 1 year or 2 year, every Sunday, you're turning in a weekly log for what you did during that week. And that log is written on the log, but it's covering various competencies that You covered during, your placement, the various tasks, how, the competencies tied into the task that you did, you know, what kind of, was it micro, meso, macro, work that you participated in that week? You know, what kind of meetings? It's just very descriptive of what you did that week, in field is what that weekly, you need to fill this weekly log out completely. Hear me, completely. There are no blanks. There's a section on there about, ethical dilemmas. Sometimes that is always an issue. There is always an ethical dilemma. And sometimes again, we're trying to think big, and we're missing, you know, trying to think so big. There's always, and if you feel like for some reason that you did not have an ethical dilemma, you can ask a coworker about an ethical dilemma that they might have had, and you can use it. In that, but you need to fill that weekly log out completely. Complete sentences. Your writing matters. You need to write on a master level. I'm a master level student and on this, on your weekly log. Student learning agreement. You're getting with your supervisor, agency supervisor, and you all are working on this together. What you hope to learn during this at your placement, you're working on your goals, you're going over this like weekly, you're trying to figure out, okay, what are you talking about during this hour of supervision? When you're talking about, you know, maybe you're going over a particular case that you had that week, something that you didn't understand, something that you saw, a particular goal that you had maybe last week or a goal that you have for this upcoming week. Maybe there was a particular code of ethic that you didn't understand. Maybe there was a competency that you didn't understand. Maybe there was something that was in your learning agreement that was a little confusing during that particular week. That you're going over every, you know, each week. Discussion questions and assignments for integration of classroom field experience. So in your field seminar classes, just for, depending on which class you're taking, you have assignments, you have discussion questions. And those are due probably on a Sunday, just then. But it's up to you. I think it was, I don't know, Dr. Lee, Dr. Berkowitz, I think it was Dr. Berkowitz was saying, you need to really pay attention, maybe at the first of the semester, go through and really look at the due dates. Look at the assignments, pay attention to those due dates, to see what you have coming up. Because at the end of the day, it's up to you to get those assignments in, when they're supposed to be in. Let me tell you something, due dates are very important. They're very important, just as important as to whether you did the assignment right or not. And for me, they are, especially when I'm grading. Did you turn this in? Did you turn it in on time? If it's in a 2-year program, if you didn't turn in, if you don't turn your assignment in on time, this is weak. Zero.
Yeah, and that's so important because if you have worked in social work before, and I know a lot of you are getting your master's and you're in the 1-year program you have, you know just how important due dates are. And the trickle down effect when you miss a due date, you know, you might have to have something in report on time. You might have to have, meet a deadline, or the person you're working with doesn't get food assistance or doesn't get housing. Like those, that's why it's so important. And that's why we put such an emphasis on that piece, because it's professionalism. And it's something that, if you're a 2-year student, maybe you haven't worked in social work yet, you will see that in social work, there's that huge professionalism component, and those due dates are so, so important. So we don't do that to be like punitive and, like we don't have a heart, but it's really just to get you in that mindset of how important those due dates are. And that's why we went to the 0. If you're, on like a weekly log, if you don't get it in time, just, you get a 0 on it. And, but it's because we were experiencing trouble in that area. But it's really just to kind of get you in that mindset of you have a due date, you meet that due date. It's a professionalism piece.
Because, when you work in therapeutic settings, one of the things, progress notes, they question you. And if you have like an 82, 83 caseload, and, your progress notes are due by this particular day, you have to try to create some type of time management. How you gonna get these notes done by, this particular day? And you have to create this system. And so the best way to start, getting yourself disciplined is through assignments like this. Session evaluation. So each 8 weeks, you have evaluation that your supervisors will do based on your performance. And so those are forms. And the good part about Sonia is those can be uploaded in Sonia now. It can be done in Sonia instead of handwritten and all that. They can be done in Sonia, and your final evaluations can be done in Sonia.
On our final couple of slides, and hopefully if you're an advanced standing student, you have already seen this GroupMe invitation. Hopefully you have already joined. If you haven't, you can get your phone out right now and scan the link. But you can also, this will be emailed to you, so you can scan the link then. This is your GroupMe if you are an advanced standing student, not a 2-year student. You have your own link, and we'll get to that one next. If you're an advanced standing student, this is your link. And you will notice our university guidelines, you cannot comment and and add things to this GroupMe. Only I can. So this is not one where we have a back and forth dialogue, and that's a university rule. So I will be posting announcements and updates in this. So it is important for you to follow, because we even post like some job, postings and internship opportunities, things like that in this group. But if you ever have a question about something I post, you'll just have to email, because we're just not allowed to. And some people I know have tried to message me separately on GroupMe, because you can do that. But we just need to keep all of the back and forth communication through email. This is just for us to post. Okay, so I'm going to move now to Miss Owen's slide.
And same thing here. Hopefully you have already joined, but if not, you can go ahead and scan it when it's sent to you, and scan it. Here. And same things just for updates, jobs, and intern. Just okay.
This is our final slide. This is just our contact information. I know it's kind of small to see. But again, you'll get this email. Again, the most important thing about this one is just to know who your full director is and how to get in touch with them. It has been summer, so communication has not been as good as it would be in, during school years. We are also out of our office at the moment. We've been kicked out of Stevens Hall for a little bit while they've done some renovations, a little bit being all summer. Hopefully we'll be back next week. And back to like normal schedules, but you can get in touch with us through email. And once these semester starts, we will have office hours again. We don't have this during the summer. We will have those when semester starts and you can see our office hours and schedule. That is all that we have for you. I'm going to stop sharing. Okay. Hopefully I stopped sharing. What questions do you guys have for us now? Let's ask first, anybody, ooh, okay. Anybody in the room? We'll start there and then, yeah, okay, I see some questions in the chat. We'll look over those. Is there any questions in the room? Start there. Everybody feels a little bit better? Yeah, go ahead.
I'm a two-year student, so I don't know what internship looks like at the fall. So is there any way that you can discuss maybe a little bit like what it can look like and what students would do? I'm not sure if that's probably something we'll talk about in the seminar anyways, but.
So, so your first year, it just would be, centered around maybe what you want to do. So just say if it's maybe, yeah, do you know what you want to do?
I want to be a medical assistant
Okay,
and work with children.
okay. So maybe, in a therapeutic agency that, works with you. What it would probably look like is, you go into that, literally from start to finish, going to that agency saying, hey, you know, do you all take intern? You know, I'm a 2-year student, in grad school and I'm looking for an internship. So you start and say that, you know, you just started, you're in your foundation year or you're in your generalist year, so that they will know, you know, that you have just started. And they probably would have you shadowing another social worker sitting in maybe on sessions or maybe assessments or intakes, like when a client or child first comes in and maybe they do like some sort of assessment, whatever type of assessment they do at that agency. Various agencies do different kind of assessments. So you'll get to see maybe the different type of assessments they do. You'll see what an intake is. You'll learn what treatment plans are. Again, you're shadowing, you're watching what that looks like. You'll get to see maybe, and then this is me guessing, how maybe the different questions, they ask the different skills that take place in counseling. And you'll learn this in your course, in the courses that you take. You'll see how to maybe conduct the session. So as you learn, as you go through these courses, you'll see it played out in this internship. Does this make any sense, like I'm saying?
Yes. Well, and I'll add to that because when we first started this program, we didn't have this first semester off for 2-year students. Students went directly into their internship, even if they were a 2-year student. But what we found was that they weren't quite ready to just hit the ground running because they didn't have, they obviously had a great education in another field, you know, but they had not gotten that basic foundation of social work yet. So they didn't know about the code of ethics yet. They didn't know about, you know, the competencies of social work. And honestly, they didn't know about the different agencies they could even do their internship at, right? So your first semester now is designed to be class framework, which do it virtually, that prepares you for your internship. So there may be, and Ms. Owens can go into more detail, but there might be assignments where you do a resource guide, and that just gets you familiar with the agencies in your community, so you can even begin to think about, like, where could I do an internship? You know, and again, Ms. Owens can go into more details, but that's why we decided, okay, so your students need a semester, you know, to prepare for field and kind of get their mind right, get that basic knowledge before they jump in. So you'll have lots of opportunities.
And so those, and like Ms. Wright was saying, even in those 2 years, those 2 AV field seminar courses, you'll learn about, you know, confidentiality. What to, you know, kind of what to look for. Your competencies, your code benefits. They're learning basic skills, knowledge, different things like that. That's kind of, you know, it's preparing you to go into, you know, field. And then your assignments are, you know, kind of having you think about, you know, you said you want to do clinical, but it's also going to have you think about other, you know, the medical field. You might think you want to do clinical, but it's like, let's not rule out these other areas. So it's, you know, the assignments will set you up for your first placement.
So I see a couple of questions in the chat. Savannah had asked, we're interested in going into the clinical therapy side of social work. Would it be easier doing the field internship at a private clinic versus hospital system or behavioral health center? And I would say either, Savannah. I think that you could get a good experience at any of the 3 of those that you mentioned. You could do private hospital, behavioral health. I've seen students have really good experiences at all 3 of those. I think it's really just a matter of having a conversation with each of those and figuring out for you what would be the best fit for you. But there's definitely opportunities for clinical work in all 3 of those settings. So you just need to make sure they meet the criteria and then talk to them. What are you going to, I think it's important to ask them, what will an internship here look like? What can I do as an intern? Because I will say some places, maybe their idea of an intern is answering the phone and talking to people. And while that's important, and you need to learn how to do that, that is part of social work. That's not all you want to do. So it's good to have this conversation with them, like, what would an internship look like? And will I be able to have, you know, contact with clients? And will I be able to practice my skills? And, you know, maybe the first place you had in mind is not the best match for that. So it's just good to have open conversations. Tammy, I see your question about the purchase price of Sonia. That is in one of the slides, and I think it was $37, if I'm not mistaken. And then Natalie asks, and this is a really good question, Natalie. I did not think to cover this, but for 1-year students, will we stay at the same placement for the entirety of the year for all 500 hours? And my answer is yes. I encourage you to find a placement where you can remain the entire year, because 250 hours of placement is not enough. So I know it's a whole year, and that sounds like a long time, but it's only 500 hours. And by the time you get in there and you get oriented to the agency, it will be time to change placements if you did 2 different placements. So I encourage you to find a placement where you can do your full year if you're an advanced standing student. However, we do know things happen. Maybe you have to move mid-year and move to another area, and so you need to change places. Maybe you get a job offer somewhere else and you need to change places because of that. Maybe it just wasn't a good match for you and you aren't getting a great experience. But those are all things that we would have a conversation and make a decision case by case. But I do encourage you to go into it with the mindset that you're going to stay there for the full year. You be different for you or up to you. Okay, so any other questions in the room? And we'll, for those of you online, feel free to put your questions in the chat, or you can unmute yourself. What is the day to accumulate intern hours for the I'm not sure I understand that question. What is the last day? Okay.